Dolphins, only 1 touchdown in their last 3 games. The question is, will Dan Marino be with the Dolphins next year? Next week, it'll be New England at Pittsburgh on Saturday and Denver at Kansas City, the late game on Sunday. In a class all by himself, Barry Sanders named to his 9th straight Pro Bowl. Folks, this guy is simply sensational. You know, it has indeed been a season of milestones for him. 2nd all-time leading rusher, 2,053 yards on the season. Now, let's put that in perspective. Here are the top 5 rushers in NFL history. This is what they did in their 9th year. As you can see, Barry gained 500 more yards than Jim Brown, though Brown did his in 14 games. But check out his yards per carry. His 6.1 yards average is nearly a yard better than Jim Brown's and more than a yard and a half better than anyone else. But as Pam Oliver tells us, Barry didn't get all of those yards by himself. His offensive line definitely put on a show themselves.
It's just like playing with the Michael Jordan of football. That's what Barry is.
He's the superstar. They are little known. To toil in obscurity, it's the life of an offensive lineman.
Show of hands here. How many of you get mobbed in public?
Once you become an offensive lineman, you just know right away it's not a glamorous spot. So, like, if I look up and see Barry's back and the other defenders, like, breaking their ankles, and I'm feeling good.
Ray had a carry this year.
He was athletic, but he athletically hit that turf.
Okay, so it takes an unusual occurrence for a lineman to get noticed, especially with number 20 in the backfield. But this Motown 5 wouldn't have it any other way.
Since day one, he's been the same. He works extremely hard. He's courteous, he's humble, and he's a quiet leader also.
I mean, these guys have the real job. You know, I just go out there and run. I mean, they have the real job. You know, I know how it is every now and then when I have to block somebody, and I wouldn't want to do that every down.
Barry's mad rush to a glorious year started more like a thud. Remember, he'd rushed for just 53 yards in the Lions' first 2 games. 14 games later, Sanders had cut back and scraped out exactly 2,000 more.
He's well over 2,000 now. Holy mackerel!
At the end of that game, it was hard to believe that we had accomplished it.
We accomplished it. You didn't say Barry accomplished it. It's a we thing, right?
Well, yeah, I think Barry, you know, by himself with some other guys would probably get maybe 1,700 yards.
But it seems a favorite pastime for many to wonder aloud where Sanders would have been behind someone else's offensive line. The assumption he's accomplished great things with weak ones.
I think that's what made it more special for us. You know, we heard it all year. You know, if the Dallas Cowboy line or the New York Giants, you know, they're not the 300, well, with the exception of Larry, the 350-pound, 340-pound guys.
You know, I care about them, they care about me, and I think it's reflected in how we play.
To carry him off the field, what did that mean to you?
You can't beat it. I mean, I can look back and tell my kids, you know, I was part of that.
Like, we're more outwardly proud of it, but I think, like, inside of him, there's like this little party going on. Like, doing all the best, but outside he's just like kind of cool and calm, which is all good.
To me, it means just opportunity to show him that we really appreciate what he does, how hard he works, and we realize that in our minds, he's the best ever.
A class act indeed, and the word to describe him, phenomenal, in that he's having his best season in this, his 9th season. And Howie Long, clearly he is a major, major talent. But can Detroit expect to ride his shoulders only to be successful?
Well, it's funny, you know, if it took Bobby Ross a while to figure something out, it was simply this. Defensively, it defies all logic what you do versus Barry Sanders. No matter what they put up there, get the ball to Barry Sanders. He has to get his carries. That carries over to defense. This defense, Porsche, Ellis, who's turned into a premier defensive tackle, their young cornerbacks have to keep the game close, which will facilitate Barry getting his carries. Herman Moore eats small corners like I eat a sandwich for lunch. He's big, he's mean, and he wants the ball. He will exploit these corners. They'll have to play zone on him, roll the corner up, and play zone behind him. They cannot defend him man-to-man.
Action hero sandwich, huh?
Yeah, that was it.
But
Go fast.
Let me tell you something, though. On first and second down, look for him to go deep. The Detroit Lions will go deep, and they will go deep, not with Herman Moore. They're going to go deep with Johnny Morton. So they want to control that by putting pressure on this defensive front, by play action, going down the field TB, and taking advantage of these safeties.
One of the things quarterbacks get in the NFL is a reputation. I had one for not being very smart. Dilford has one for not being a hard worker at his craft. Mitchell has one. If you hit him, he'll quit. 11 interceptions this year came in games that they lost. He only had 14. His last playoff game, he had 4 interceptions and was benched. This is a game when it comes down to quarterbacks, I believe Mitchell changes his reputation. This is a game, it's a slow track. It's muddy and wet, and it goes to the quarterback that has the best arm and can throw the ball today, and I think Mitchell and the Lions have that edge.
You know that perception about you has been diffused, though, right?
Hadn't yet.
Oh, yes, it has been.
If I get one more Super Bowl in me, though, JB, I know I can change it.
You've done it here. All right, folks, the question out of all of this, and certainly that goes Tampa Bay's way, is can Barry be stopped? 2 players who will have something to say about that are Warren Sapp and Hardy Nickerson. These are 2 main reasons why the Buccaneers defense ended the year ranked 3rd in the NFL, and both are heading to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl. We'll be back here at the Big Sombrero with more after this. Soggy, Tampa, Florida over the last several days, 4 inches of rain, but folks, a clear afternoon for this wild card contest. You know, the men with the task of stopping Barry Sanders is, of course, the Buccaneers defenders. But as I turn now to Ronnie Lott, Ronnie, it would seem that a lot of that burden is going to fall on the linebackers and the secondary.
JB, you're right. Barry Sanders, Dreammaker, or Heartbreaker. These 5 guys will just find out.
I know every night you've been closing your eyes saying, I see him. I see the feet moving. He's coming at me.
When I think about it and dream about him, see, I win.
Okay, all right.
Because I have a little stun gun with me. I slow him down. When I slow him down, I jump on him.
What do you guys have to do collectively to get the job done?
Getting tackled. First guy misses, maybe the second guy get him or slow him up, third guy finish him off.
You said something there that's interesting. You said if the first guy misses. Are you assuming that might happen?
When we stopped them the first time we played them, it was a team thing. And I like it that we've done it before and won the game, and we got to do it again.
Tackling outside leg is making sure that he doesn't out-leverage you to the sideline. Making sure you give everybody else a chance, because you have 10 other guys running through the ball hustling.
Now, you talked about taking a leg. Now, Lynch, I don't know about if I've ever seen you take a leg. What's the game plan?
On a guy like Barry, I think we've played him enough to know, you talk about being embarrassed. There's no more being embarrassed. He's made everybody miss. But you got to be smart about it. If you're going to miss, if you've got help inside, miss to the outside, force him back to your help. If you've got help outside, take the inside and take your shot, though.
I see a lot of guys that tackle him that don't tackle. Why do you think that is, Hardy?
So I think, during the week, guys watch so much film and see guys get juked, get embarrassed out there, that, when it comes time for that defining moment to make the tackle, there's that hesitation. It's like,
oh. If you get passive, he's too good an athlete. He's going to make you stop your feet. Once you stop your feet, he can get started a whole lot faster than anybody, and that's when you get in trouble.
If it's grabbing a shoestring, grabbing the ear hole on his helmet, grabbing whatever, you do it.
In theory, that sounds great. You guys have not only the mission of advancing in the playoffs, but the mission of stopping Barry Sanders. It's like Mission Impossible.
Not impossible.
No, it's a pretty good mission, but not impossible.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mission, all right, but Trent Dilfer, the quarterback, I watched him this week in practice. Terry, he looked like he was limping on that ankle. It looked like his mechanics is off, and that's something I've never really noticed about him throwing the football.
Ronnie, I went into the locker room and watched him get taped. His ankle's fine. I asked him, how do you feel? He feels absolutely fine. Don't forget, if you rush Trent out of the pocket today, don't rush him to his left. His ankle is injured, his right ankle. He can cut back inside with his left. Flush him to the right. Play action by Dilford. Big to the right side, but the receivers today have to help him. They have to get outside releases to open up the short passing game. And if he has success throwing, look for him to turn around and throw back to the backside. Young quarterback, my first playoff game, the immaculate reception, the miracle play for Pittsburgh. Maybe today we have a miracle play, and Trent Dilford will be able to be part of history. I just love saying that.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have got their hands full. Hardy Nickerson talked to me last night. He talked about intensity for 60 minutes. They need to stay on the same level up front. What I mean by that is the defensive end can't get upfield and the defensive tackle gets stymied on the line. It opens up lanes. Chidi Ahanatu, their left defensive end, versus Larry Tharp on the back side, the blind side of Scott Mitchell, is a big key. This guy has emerged as one of the premier defensive ends in football.
Best advice you can give about stopping Barry?
About stopping Barry, listen, if you miss him the first time, don't chase him. Stay where you are. He'll be back in a minute.
And you know what, folks? That's exactly what's going to happen with us. So don't go anywhere. Game time is just around the corner. And Scott Mitchell will be the man on the hot seat for the Detroit Lions, a guy who really hasn't lived up to his expectations, nor the contract, a major platform to try to win over some of the doubters. More after this. Dilford will receive an awful lot of attention today. Terry Bradshaw says that it is fine. Since being hurt, he's generated only an average of 10 points per game. He says he's fine today. We'll see if we can get more on that Bucs scoreboard. Let's start with final thoughts with you, Ronnie.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Hardy Nickerson, and the last thing he told me, says, Ronnie, look, I'm sick and tired of talking about Barry Sanders. I'm ready to get it on. I'm ready to play. It's going to be a lot of emotion today, Howie.
One of our co-workers, Bill Piquel, was with the New York Jets when Dennis Byrd was hurt. He was shocked at how high the emotions ran in that locker room after the game and in the following game. The emotions will run high here today in replacing Brown, the linebacker.
Yeah, nothing will change defensively for Tampa Bay. Barry Sanders, 32 carries, 73 yards in his 2 games against them. Then, boom, 80-yarder, 82-yarder.
Playoff intensity, as you would expect it. We'll be back to send it up to Pat and John right after this.
I squeezed it in.
Now for the Erickson countdown to kickoff. We've set the stage. It's time for the players to do the rest. Detroit and Tampa. Winners move on. All others are out. Pat Summerall and John Madden ready to call the action.
In the NFL, the new year comes a few days early in the form of the wild card round of the playoffs. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 18 years removed from their last home playoff game, they hope to ring in the new year by continuing to ring their opponents' bells on defense. While their offense features the inside-outside combination of steamrolling Mike Allstott and catch-me-if-you-can Warwick Dunn. The Detroit Lions hope the new year brings them more of the same. More Herman and much more Barry. Sanders' 2,000-plus rush yards carried them to the playoffs. But he alone can't win them a Super Bowl. A New Year's resolution in Detroit? Give Barry some help, and it'll be a happy new year indeed. Houlihan Stadium, and it is bedlam here as the Buccaneers are being introduced. 74,000 on hand, and they have waited a long time for this. Today, the Buccaneers entertain the Detroit Lions. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. And John, as we both know, the intensity picks up. It's one loss, and you're out of the competition. There's no Super Bowl for you. Let's talk about Detroit first. What faces them? What do they have to do today?
Well, you know, the first thing that Bobby Ross talks about generally is not having any turnovers, playing solid football, and get off to a strong, because you can hear this crowd behind us. This crowd is going crazy, and they would like to, by getting off to a quick start, kind of quiet this crowd down. Of course, you know what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to have to ride Barry Sanders' shoulders. The last time Barry Sanders played here, he had a run of 80 yards and a run of 82 yards. So they have to get that going. But both Bobby Ross and their quarterback, Scott Mitchell, says to make it easier on Barry, we would like to come out and start throwing the ball, loosen up that Buccaneer defense. Then it'll be a little easier for Barry, because early in this game, the Buccaneers are going to key everything on Barry Sanders.
And these Buccaneers, as we've said, have waited a long, long time to get here into the playoffs. Now, what do they have to do to contain the Lions today?
Well, you know, Tony Dungy has done such an excellent job here, and you look at this Buccaneer team, and there's not a lot of superstars, but the thing that they do well is they play well as a team, and they're going to have to do that today. I mean, they're going to have to be able to run the ball with Warwick Dunn, Mike Allstott, and then after they get that established, then they can go some play pass and do some of those things. And on defense is where the challenge really is, because you know, we talked about Barry Sanders, and they know that they have to stop or contain him. But then in doing that, you can't give up too much that you forget about Herman Moore and Johnny Morton out there.
That's going to be a tough day for them. And Ron Pitts is also with us today, and we'll be going down to Ron on the field in a moment.
All right, welcome back to Tampa Bay. I'm Ron Pitts. I'm standing on the Detroit Lions sideline. Now, you're going to see a lot of big stars out here on the field today, but one star you're not going to see, Detroit linebacker Reggie Brown. And unfortunately, it takes situations like this sometimes for all of us to realize that the game of football is merely just a game. That was the scene last week in Detroit when linebacker Reggie Brown suffered a career-ending spinal cord injury. Now on Monday, team Dr. David Collin came in. He talked to the entire team. He addressed them on Reggie Brown's situation. After that meeting, the players said they felt much more at ease, much more comfortable with the situation with Reggie Brown, even so much to the fact they could go down here, come down here, and concentrate and focus on this very big game. Now, one player in particular, Robert Porcher, had this very important message to give to Reggie Brown.
We're going to play our hearts for you, man, and, you know, we just want you to hang in there, what you will do. And, you know, this season's going to keep on going. And you just keep fighting, and we know he will keep fighting, and we're going to be right there. You know, even though he won't be out there on the field with us, he's going to always be a part of this team. He's going to always be a part of us.
The great news coming out of Detroit on Christmas Day, Reggie Brown was able to stand up with assistance. That's outstanding, and all of us here at Fox Sports wish him the best. Right now, let's go back up to Pat Summerall for the kickoff.
All right, Ron, and Bobby Ross, who has handled the whole situation with such dignity and class, said to his team and to himself, there are two things we can do. We can pray for him, and we can play for him. Jason Hansen will kick off for the Lions. Rydell Anthony back deep in the middle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New colors. A huge complement of fans on hand. Today's weather, 52 degrees. The wind east, 6 miles an hour, so that shouldn't be a factor. And it's going to stay cloudy as Hansen gets this underway. Line drive kickoff to Rydell Anthony. Anthony hit behind the 20-yard line. Brought down as the Lions special teams do a good job by Ryan Stewart. Let's look at the offense for the Buccaneers, led by Trent Dilfer, selected to his first Pro Bowl, and this is his first career playoff game. In front of him, Gruber, Pine, Mayberry, Middleton starting, and Jason Odom, Warwick Dunn, Mike Allstott, the two backs, Rydell Anthony, Carl Williams, the wide receivers, and Dave Moore begins at tight end. Trent Dilfer, 1-5 against Detroit. They start from the 17, and it's Warwick Dunn across the 20, brought down by Luther Ellis. Here's the Lion defense, the front four, Scroggins, Ellis, Wells, and Porcher. The linebackers, Jamison, Boyd, and Antonio London getting the start. In the secondary, two rookie cornerbacks, Abrams and Westbrook, Carrier and Rice, the two safeties. Warwick Dunn got 3 yards. It's 2nd and 7. Two tight ends set up. The Buccaneers do a lot of that. Dilfer back to throw. Has time. Incomplete high. Carl the Truth Williams, the intended receiver.
It's amazing. You mentioned 2 tight ends in there, Pat, and one of those 2 tight ends was Jackie Harris, who just had a hernia operation 2 weeks ago. They weren't sure, if he was going to be able to play or not. He came out Wednesday, and they were surprised. He looked pretty good Thursday. I watched him practice on Friday, and I wasn't sure exactly what you look for to see if someone is being bothered by a hernia, but he looked fine to me, and he's an important part of their passing game. He lines right up here in their 3 wide receiver set.
3rd down. The Lions might have jumped. There's a penalty flag down. Dilfer keeps the ball, but the marker's down. Somebody in the middle of the Lion defense jumped.
Ugly jumped up on that play. What happened is someone in the Lions defense jumped, and then Trent Dilfer fumbled a snap.
Defense, number 94, 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
Mike Carey, Luther Ellis a little early.
Number 94 is Luther Ellis, and you see him right in front of the ball, and that should never happen because he was a nose tackle, and you always tell your defensive linemen, don't listen to anything, just watch the ball and get off on the ball. And the guy that is standing with his nose right on the ball should never be the guy that's offside.
3rd down, couple of yards. Dilfer back to throw it. Again has time now, pulls it down, and he's going to take off and stumble and dive. And close to a 1st down. He's got a bad ankle, but he's still got airborne.
Yeah, you can see his bad ankle is that right ankle. You can see he has a brace on that ankle, and then he has that black tape over the brace. He's having a difficult time with, because that's his plant foot. He's had to change his drop a little. He didn't get the 1st down on that play. And he can't move around. He said he's had to change thing and try and get in balance and change everything. And he said it's more of a nuisance than a real injury, but it's going to be with him until their season is over.
Sean Landetta back to punt for the Buccaneers. Milburn deep for the Lions. Glenn Milburn. Outside the 35, about the 37. Let's look at the Detroit offense. Scott Mitchell, the quarterback. Against Tampa Bay, he's been tough. Roberts, Compton, Glover, Hardings, and Tharp in front. Barry Sanders with a fullback, Tommy Vardell, Morton and Herman Moore wide, and David Sloan, the tight end.
There's 2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers that were down on that punt coverage team. Both of them stayed down.
Might have collided with each other. Sheldon Quarles is number 53.
Well, it was kind of they both got there and the ball carrier at the same time.
Tyoka Jackson is the other. 0-0.
My dreams in Nashville. Playoff is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By the new Dodge, it's about change. By Microsoft, where do you want to go today? And by Dockers Khakis.
1st and 10 Detroit. Scott Mitchell under the center and will open up firing. Got a man, Johnny Morton, incomplete. Let's have a look at the Buccaneer defense. The front 4 very active. Upshaw, Warren, Sapp, Brad Culpepper, and Chidi Ahanatu. The linebackers Brooks, Nickerson, and Rufus Porter. And in the secondary, Parker and Donnie Abraham, the safeties, the cornerbacks, Mincy and Lynch, the safety. 2nd and 10. Mitchell back. A lot of time.
This is the thing that the Lions talked about wanting to do, Pat, early in this game, is start off passing, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have come out here and they're so concerned about Barry Sanders and stopping Barry Sanders. And remember what Barry did to him last time. Remember what Barry did last game. Remember what Barry does every game. that they wanted to start out throwing, make them think pass defense, loosen them up a little, and then maybe get some easier lanes for Barry Sanders to run in.
3rd and 7, 3 wide receivers. Buccaneers showing blitz. Mitchell points it out. Gets rid of it, incomplete, intended for Morton. Good coverage, good pressure.
Yeah, it was interesting the side that Scott Mitchell pointed to. He pointed to the guy that was going to blitz, but no one listened to him because they came free from that side. Mitchell had to throw it before he wanted to.
So Detroit has to punt with John Jett back to punt it and has to take off with it. And Jett scrambling around. It would have been blocked if he had tried to kick it. And the Buccaneers, with the pressure, take over.
That's one thing about this Buccaneer team is they have great speed. John Jett, really, if he just would have ran, he could have got a first down, but he didn't have the speed to get there, and the Buccaneers did have the speed.
The Jets didn't turn on.
But as he goes to punt, as you say, if he had punted that ball, it would have been blocked, so he had to do what he did here. Now, if he just could have made a move there and run and take off, but he didn't have the speed. But look at this Buccaneer team. There's about 5 red jerseys that get there.
They do fly around, don't they?
And that's what they teach. I mean, their whole thing on defense, Monty Kiffin, their defensive coordinator, Tony Dungy, is that everyone flies around. You have speed. Everyone is in on every tackle. If you go on the ground, you don't stay there.
They start from the Detroit 39, 1st and 10. Allstott and Dunn behind Dilfer. Dilfer's going to throw. Ball bounces off the intended receiver, Warwick Dunn. Incomplete. Excuse me.
I think that Tampa Bay is the same way, that they know that they're going to run. They know that they have to run the ball today, but you just can't be that one-dimensional. I mean, even though you have Warwick Dunn running and you have Mike Allstott running, you still have to be able to throw the ball.
They look very tight, this offensive unit.
I had the feeling that in the 3 or 4 days that I've been here that they are tight. They're very excited about this game.
That's Dunn, who sets up on the left. The handoff is to Allstott, and he's hit right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe got a yard by Tracy Stroggins, the first man there.
I think the Detroit Lion defense has really improved when Tracy Stroggins came back. I mean, he looked like he's quick, and with Scoggins on one side, Porsche on the other side. On 3rd down, they get a big pass rush. Then they have Luther Ellis in the middle, who's doing a heck of a job. If Detroit has improved anywhere this year, to me, it's been in the defensive side of the football.
So it's 3rd and long all of a sudden.
Now they better block Robert Porsche over on this side, down in the bottom here.
Dilfer rolls out. Gets it to Dunn, incomplete. Couldn't hang on. Dilfer's ankle doesn't seem to be bothering him too much.
Well, remember last week he got in a scramble situation and not only scrambled, but he scrambled for a touchdown. And that's what he can do. I mean, he can move around and buy a little time, because this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team is not a good pass protection team. They are not good in 3rd and long.
Landetta gets off the punt. Milburn's going to let it go over his head. And it's going to be down by the Buccaneers inside the 5 and about the 3. And the Lions will have a long way to go. Good punt by Sean Landetta. Stadium in Tampa. 0-0 score. The Lions and Buccaneers. Barry Sanders yet to touch the ball.
And that Buccaneer defense is trying to get this crowd excited here so that they can't hear in this end zone.
Sanders at the line of scrimmage, maybe nudged for a yard. Detroit notoriously a slow starting team in the first quarter. They've been outscored 135. Scott Mitchell, no touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The opponents have scored first in 13 out of their 16 games. This game, number 17, of course, this wild card match.
Yeah, one of the things Tony Dungy said yesterday is that he would like to keep the Detroit Lions, when they have the ball, down to 3 minutes per time they have the ball.
Mitchell retreats to the end zone and fires deep. Out of bounds is Johnny Morton, incomplete.
Anthony Parker right there. Charles Mincy coming over. They really have. Here's Johnny Morton here. Here's Anthony Parker. And you're going to see he's going to get a little bump on him. He's going to go by and he's going to have help. The safety gets over there. That wasn't a bad deal. I mean, if he had a little more room in that sideline, he would have had a completion because he did turn Anthony Parker around. Parker looked back inside and the ball was thrown over his outside shoulder.
3rd and 9. Morton again split wide left. This is Barry Sanders. And Sanders shy of the 10, shy of the first down, and the Lions will have to punt.
And the Buccaneers are doing exactly what they wanted to do against Barry Sanders. Keeping their gap control, getting a whole bunch of guys to the ball. If you go down, jump up because he's going to be coming back.
Still no first downs in the game. Jet back to punt it. Protection better this time. Kicks it out of the end zone. Williams out of bounds in Detroit's side of the field, or into the field at about 48, where the Bucs will take over from there. Can't quarrel about the field position. Detroit nothing, Tampa Bay nothing. 9:04 left in the first quarter. Total yards are kind of insignificant. 2 tight ends set up again for the Bucs. Biggest run of the game so far, down to the Detroit 35 before he's stopped by the safety man Ron Rice.
Well, big Frank Middleton gets a block here. Now watch him. If you're going to run, you got to get this guy blocked here. You have to block Luther Ellis. Now he gets him turned, and then they can run right inside him. See Middleton right there? He makes the hole so that Mike Alstott has that cutback. And when you're Frank Middleton and you weigh 340 pounds, you can get a little hole for a guy.
And your fullback behind you is about 250. He can make it a bigger hole. This is Alstott again, fighting for yardage and didn't get the first down. Antonio London.
And the other thing they didn't get is they didn't get Luther Ellis.
Nope.
On the play before that where they gained yardage, they blocked Luther Ellis. On that play, Ellis beat them. He got penetration, and he was in the backfield before they could get started. He's the key. If you're going to run inside, and most of Tampa Bay's runs are inside runs, you're going to have to get number 94 blocked.
3rd and a yard and a half at the Detroit 35, just outside the 35. Dilfer yet to complete a pass. Back to throw again. The Detroit blitz missed, and Dilfer comes out around it and throws to Warwick Dunn. I beg your pardon, it's Williams, Carl Williams. Down inside the 10, it'll be 1st and goal, Buccaneers.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer does a heck of a job of getting away from Antonio London, and then by buying some time, this can happen. You just see he buys some time. He's running out here. He's running. He's giving his receivers time to work, and then he can hit them for a first down.
Good throw on the run by Dilfer.
Yeah, it was good at getting away from Antonio London first because no one blocked number 55 London. He came free. Dilfer made a move on him and then bought that time.
They mark it back at the 11, and this is Warwick Dunn. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe a loss. So it's not 1st and goal, just shy of that mark. 1st and about 11 now after the loss by Dunn.
You know, on that pass to Carl Williams, when we were talking to Trent Dilfer, he said that he's a guy that he has the most confidence in now. Early in the year, he wasn't even a starter, and he said of his receivers that he feels better about Carl Williams than any of the other guys.
Again, 2 tight ends. Dilfer. Warwick Dunn inside the 5.
They still don't have him down, boys. He's quick. You see how quickly he gets in that thing. This is an amazing guy. I mean, he's 5'8", He weighs 180 pounds, but is he quick? And he's not an outside guy either. I mean, watch, this is at normal speed. And you talk about quickness, and Warwick Dunn makes moves all over the place. I mean, he'll make moves in the hole. He'll make moves after him, but does he get through that hole quickly?
3rd and 2.
This guy is a fun guy. I mean, he has that twinkle in his eye, and there's something about Warwick Dunn you just like to take him home.
Dilfer clapping his hands and probably changing plays. Going to throw and does. Incomplete. Bounced off Jackie Harris.
Ooh, Trent Dilfer knew it. He not only had a completion, but he had a touchdown there. At the line of scrimmage, you know, he changed something, but he's looking, and he's looking at Jackie Harris all the way, and he throws. That's a perfect pass. I mean, there's nothing you can say except Jackie Harris was open. He got open. Trent Dilfer found the open guy, watched him all the way, hit him with a perfect pass. Jackie Harris dropped the ball.
Husted in to try the field goal. Field goal is good from 22 yards away, and the Bucks get on the board first. They lead 3-0. The field goal by Husted.
Pass again where that Jackie Harris dropped, but watch the umpire right here. He's kind of in the way, and he ducks, so Jackie Harris is looking for the ball to come out, and watch, it comes right off the umpire. Doesn't hit the umpire, but he lost the ball for that split second.
Yep. He sure did. Milburn brings back the kickoff and brings it out of the pack. Got to beat the kicker and doesn't. Husted knocked him out of bounds.
Sometimes a kicker, when you're the last guy, that's all you can do is just hold up until someone else gets there. That's exactly what happens. Husted holds him up, and Rob Thomas is going to get there at the end, but he plays off a blocker, keeps containment, makes a hit. Rob Thomas gets there to make the play also, but that's a heck of a play by Mike Husted.
50-yard return by Milburn. Husted got up with his face crooked.
Oh, yeah, well, he's happy to do that. I mean, those kickers love that when they can look like linebackers.
Barry Sanders deep. Mitchell gives to him, and Sanders heads to the outside and got perhaps a yard. And right now, let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat, earlier today, New England made it 3 straight victories over the Miami Dolphins. Take a look after a Dan Marino interception. It's Drew Bledsoe hooking up with Troy Brown. Troy Brown, 24-yard haul in for the score. And the Patriots will now play Pittsburgh next Saturday. Back upstairs to Pat Summerall.
2nd and 10. Sanders again, the lone back. Mitchell fake to him this time. Incomplete. Had a man open. Tommy Boyd. Mitchell just missed him.
Well, you know, you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being tight early. The Detroit Lions also look tight. Here's Mitchell coming on a bootleg. Boyd just comes across there. Tommy Boyd, he has that. He just drops it.
I said Mitchell missed him. I'm wrong. Boyd missed him.
No, Boyd just missed that ball. It just goes right through him. It's interesting, in this series, the Detroit Lions came out with that 3 wide receiver package and 1 back. Tommy Boyd, of course, being the 3rd wide receiver, along with Herman Moore and Johnny Morton.
Mitchell back to throw. Goes high outside for Morton. Incomplete. And the Lions will have to punt.
And the Lions off to another slow start. That was the thing that has kind of plagued them all year. Part of it is their slow start. Part of it is dropping the ball on Tommy Boyd. And then part of it, like this, is pretty good defense, too.
Both teams look kind of tight.
The Buccaneers came on a blitz on that time. Donnie Abraham did a good job of man-to-man coverage.
Oh, Williams back deep. Jet to punt it. Carl Williams. Trying to lost the ball, fumble. And it's picked up by the Lions. The Lions got it.
The Lions would have to have control of it before it went out of bounds. And that's what happened is the Lions never did get control of it, so it's going to be Tampa Bay's ball.
And Bobby Ross saying, fall on it, fall on it. That's Matt Russell.
He's the backup middle linebacker, and that's all he had to do. Watch Carl Williams here. When you get in this point here, you should probably just go down and stop fighting. Here's Russell here, and that's what Bobby Ross was saying. You don't have to pick it up. You don't have to just fall on it. No one falls on it until it gets out of bounds. So the last guy to have control of that ball was Carl Williams. No Detroit Lion ever gets control of the ball. You see the strip there, the ball comes out, and no one gets control of it before it goes out of bounds.
That's Warwick Dunn straight ahead, out to the 20. Buccaneers got a break when Russell didn't fall on that ball.
Yeah, you know, you think anytime you see a guy that weighs 175, 180 pounds that he's going to be an outside runner, but watch Warwick Dunn. I mean, he just hits that middle. Mike Allstott is the lead blocker. He gives him a lead. He doesn't need a big crack to go through there, but watch 40 come in there. Boom, he gets his block. And, you know, when Warwick Dunn is little anyway, then he tries to get his pads down as low to the ground as he can.
Down again. And he's got the Buccaneers first down, stopped by Ron Rice.
Tony Dungy, when he was talking about Warwick Dunn, was saying that, you know, is he too small? Is he this or that? He said he talked to every coach and everyone he knew at Florida State, and they all said, you know, that this is not only the best player we have now, Warwick Dunn is the best player that we ever had at Florida State.
And you think about the guys they've had at Florida State. Back to Deion Sanders. They've had some great ones, and all the quarterbacks that come out of there. He's the best player ever come out of that school. That's a pretty fine tribute. Here's Dilfer back to throw and throwing deep, and he's got a man open. Incomplete. Horace Copeland was the intended receiver.
Yeah, that's what they do. Horace Copeland is now their third wide receiver. So if they want a third wide receiver to be an outside guy and to, you know, hit a big one like that, they put Copeland in. Then if they want a third wide receiver to be a slot guy, they put in Rob Thomas, who's in there now. So Copeland is kind of the outside guy. They stay outside. They try and run the deep stuff with him. And then Rob Thomas would be a slot guy or a possession receiver type guy.
2nd and 10. Dilfer. Allstott. First down, Buccaneers.
You know, Mike Allstott has done it all in the first part of this game because we've seen him run with the ball. Well, we've seen him lead block for Warwick Dunn, and now we're going to see him catch the ball. See, Thomas comes in motion. It's a little play fake out of the I formation. Allstott was the first guy, and you see what happened. Warwick Dunn doesn't get a block here. Warwick Dunn should get that block. You see Porcher coming right through there. That's a tough block, though, when Warwick Dunn has to block Robert Porcher.
That's almost an impossibility. Might have hurt Dilfer's ankle.
Well, he has a tender ankle, and that ankle's going to get hurt every game he plays this year.
That's Allstott to about the 44. Picked up 8 or 9.
You know, we talked about Luther Ellis, and if you're going to do anything, if you're going to pass the ball, if you're going to run the ball at him, you better get him blocked. When you do get him blocked, you can run like that. If you don't get him blocked, then you're not going to run.
2nd and 1. A minute 45 left in the first quarter at Houlihan Stadium. Total yards 80 to 10. Tampa's way, and they lead 3-0. Dilfer changing the play. Pass is knocked down by the Detroit defense.
It was Mike Wells over on that side. Knocked that one down. You see, that's the thing that you can do is you can either rush the passer, or if you're not going to get there, you get your hand up in one of his passing lanes. And that's exactly what Mike Wells did then. They were running a stunt. He was watching. He sees Dilfer going back to pass. And it's not that he gets the hand up to knock the ball down. He gets the hand up to take away a passing lane.
3rd and 1. Stock gets the first down. Close to midfield.
Yeah, we talk about guys blocking. Watch, they put Patrick Hape in the backfield, number 82, and he's kind of a tight end fullback. But now they have two tight ends. Hape gets a lead block right there for Allstott. He turns his guy, and it was Patrick Hape's block, really, that got that first down for Mike Allstott.
Allstott had a bad thigh. He's wearing a special pad on it today. In fact, Tony Dungy, the coach, said that his thigh pad looked like a flak jacket for him. Dunn. Midfield. Stopped by George Jameson.
You know, they can sure change it up. I mean, they put Dunn in the backfield by himself, and then they put Allstott in the backfield by himself, and then they put them both in there together. We're just talking about Carl the Truth Williams and how important he was to Trent Dilfer. You see him going off in a cart now. This could be a big loss for the Buccaneers, because a quarterback has to have confidence in his wide receivers, and to be honest, Trent Dilfer doesn't have a lot of confidence in these wide receivers.
And the truth, Dilfer was gaining confidence. Williams. This is Anthony, and he makes the reception. And that's near another Buck first down. That's the end of the quarter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead Detroit 3-0.
Guys, you want to know how to play running back and keep your feet going, you do it like this guy does.
12 men on the field. On the defense, 5-yard penalty results in first down.
No wonder Allstott couldn't break it. They can play with 8 men up and 4 deep.
And that's tough to advance the ball against.
That's a tough one. You look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. That's a tough defense to run against. That will always knock your hat off.
And the ball loose.
It's your jacket. Look at his eyes. He kept his eyes open. A lot of guys, when they lose their helmet, close their eyes.
Yeah.
Not Mike Allstott. That's why I think, you know, when we pick the All-Madden team, that has to be one of our rules. When you lose your hat, you can't close your eyes.
I think he just made it.
I think he did.
Reverse to Anthony. Anthony down the sideline, out of bounds at about the 12.
And they marked it back out of bounds here. Riddell Anthony made a big play there, and again, they need confidence. You know, Tony Dungy was saying that he went into a mental slump, and he thought it was important that he caught his first ball today, which he did a couple plays ago, and now you can see that he's playing with a little confidence.
Holding on the offense, number 83, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Moore called for holding, and they'll bring it back. This team has 5 tight ends listed.
Yeah, here's Dave Moore right here. And see the hold right there. You see the left hand up there? You see he's holding it all the way. He never took it off. Sometimes an official will let you start that way. You know, if you get a hand outside the plane of the body. Well, what happened there is Dave Moore got that left hand up there, and he held it there way too long. And that was the side of the play, too.
1st and 18. Screen pass to Dunn. Warwick Dunn to about the 33. Stopped by Luther Ellis. They're keeping number 20 on the bench a long time.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing about that guy right there, number 20. He's patient. I mean, he's not one of those guys that is going to get too excited about anything. He was just named co-MVP of the league yesterday. Congratulations to he, along with Brett Favre. And he's going to be patient, you know, and this is, you know, we got to play this whole quarter, and then we got to play the 3rd and the 4th. So there's going to be some time for Barry Sanders.
Dilfer back to throw. Protection's good. To Anthony. At about the 12. Stopped by Carrier.
Now I think Trent Dilfer's getting a little confidence in Riddell Anthony. I think Anthony's getting a little confidence in Anthony. You see, this is just against a zone here. Corner looking back into the backfield. He just makes a move, and he's just wide open there. and he just hits him perfectly. I'll tell you, the thing is, as I said earlier, this Buccaneer offensive line is not really a good pass protection, but on this series, they are pass protecting well.
That was excellent. Dilfer back again. Incomplete.
Trent Dilfer is trying to calm down. You know, he's trying not to be an emotional guy, but he's a very emotional guy. And he said, you know, when he first came here, he came out after his junior year at Fresno State, and with Sam Weiss, he said we really didn't get along and they didn't mature. And then one of the best things that ever happened to me was when Tony Dungy came here and brought a certain calmness, a calmness that Trent Dilfer never knew, but he had to learn. And he is learning, but sometimes, like on that last play, it'll still jump out of there.
Play number 16 in this drive coming up. That's Warwick Dunn inside the 10 to about the 8.5.
You know, Warwick Dunn, we were talking about, is only 5'8", and it's interesting. You're 5'8", and he says then he tries to get his pads as low to the ground as he can. Now, if you get your pads low to the ground and you're only 5'8", then they're only going to be about 3 feet off the ground. So you have nothing to hit when he goes through there. So when he goes through that hole, he gets his head and his pads down. And then you're wondering where the heck. I saw a 2 and an 8 come in there. I have no idea where that guy went.
Dilfer didn't like what he saw, called timeout. Allstott had replaced Dunn. 10.5 minutes left to play in the first half. It's 3-0 Tampa Bay.
Playoff is brought to you by the coaches of Nike Playcore. By Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. By Paramount Pictures, Hard Rain starts Friday, January 16th, rated R. And by Snickers, not going anywhere for a while? Grab a Snickers. Hungry? Why wait?
Okay.
Third down for the Buccaneers. They need 7 for a first. They're just outside the 9. Dilfer back to throw. Has time. Touchdown. Horace Copeland.
Boy, did Trent Dilfer drill that into Horace Copeland. And we're talking about pass protection. The offensive line gave him time. He stood back there and dropped back and just stood there and planted on that right foot, that bad ankle, and he drilled that thing in there to number 88. Watch the protection. It all starts right here. You see, you have to form a pocket. And look at the pocket right there that they formed for Trent Dilfer. And he can look and look and look and then step up and fire.
And
watch
fire he did.
And there's Copeland right there in the back line. Sometimes you work the front line, just the goal line, or sometimes the back or end line.
Husted's extra point is good, and the Bucs lead the Lions 10-0. We're in the second quarter. 10:24 left before halftime. 10-0 Tampa Bay leading. 17 plays, 89 yards. They kept the ball 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Touchdown pass from Dilfer to Copeland.
You know, and it all started, remember, after Carl Williams fumbled that punt return and Detroit didn't jump on it and recover it.
Milburn at the goal line. Stacked up just outside the 20. Here's what you were just talking about.
Yeah, there's Carl Williams here. He fumbles now. If Matt Russell jumps on the ball right here, that would have been the Lions' ball.
Head shots are from the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes. Goodyear's blimp fleet will double next year with 3 new blimps arriving in international markets. We'll have blimps everywhere next year.
What are they doing? Making the blimps now, you think?
I guess.
3 new blimps are probably at the blimp factory.
Barry Sanders gets the carry, and he doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage.
You know, that's a great shot of defense, though. I mean, that's a great shot of having all those red jerseys around Barry Sanders. There was no place to go. If you just, they just had him encircled. And if you just watch this, he can't go inside, he can't go outside, he can't cut back. You can just see everyone stops and controls the guy. See, if we stop it right there, we just stop it. You can see that they all had him surrounded.
Pursue with caution. Mitchell gets it outside to Vardell. Yesterday we spoke to Warren Sapp about what the Tampa Bay defense has to do to contain Barry Sanders.
We got to get around him and rally him, tackle him, and get him on the ground. And we can't have where our safety has to fill a hole as wide as China. I mean, we just can't allow that to happen. And that's the thing that we've been working on. And nobody's on the ground. Everybody's up on their feet, and we're running and hustling to the ball because it's going to take all 11 of us to get this guy under control.
1st and 10 on the completion to Vardell. Mitchell back to throw it again. And throws high for Johnny Morton.
You know, and Mitchell is throwing a little high. You know, his ribs had been bothering him a week ago. In fact, last week, I mean, the week before, he didn't practice. But this week, he practiced all week, and he felt that he was in sync. Herman Moore, the week before, also didn't practice, but Herman Moore practiced all this week, and supposedly Herman Moore and Scott Mitchell are in sync, but you wouldn't know it till this part of the game.
He says he's the kind of guy who needs to practice. And practice a lot. This is Barry Sanders, and look out.
You know, we know how dangerous Barry Sanders is, but Herman Moore can be pretty dangerous too, and
yeah.
they haven't gone there yet. I know that, you know, his foot is bothering him, his hands are bothering him, but he is a threat. I mean, if you're going to come up with some big plays and touchdowns, Herman Moore has to be a part of it. In fact, he caught 104 passes this past year, so he's been a big part of getting him here.
3rd and 6 for Detroit. They haven't converted on 3rd down yet. Mitchell back to throw. Blitz coming. And the pass is picked off by the Buccaneers. Batted into the air and then picked off. Anthony Parker. Mitchell again was high. And Parker came up with it.
And they got him in that 3rd down in the nickel situation, and they had good coverage on the outside. They made him throw to the inside. Anthony Parker was just right there waiting for it. You see, they got the nickel here. They give him a blitz, and now Scott Mitchell can't step into the throw. You see, and he kind of steps sideways. And then when he steps sideways, you're going to see that he just throws it right here in the middle. You see, he steps sideways, and then he overthrows the ball right there. Anthony Parker has good coverage. The ball bounces in the air. He just picks it off. But it all started with the blitz. They didn't pick up the blitz. Scott Mitchell couldn't get set. He didn't have his right foot up. He had his right foot parallel. He didn't have anything on the ball. He threw a poor pass, and Anthony Parker was in great position.
Tharp was the injured Lion player, but he appears to be okay. He made it to the sideline on his own. 1st down, Bucks at the Detroit 20. Dilfer. Incomplete. Intended for Anthony. Good coverage this time by Abrams.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Dilfer's trying to get a penalty here, but Detroit Lions are not getting any pass rush at all. And Trent Dilfer is having his way back there, and you can just feel Trent Dilfer getting more confidence now, because if he knows that he has protection, he can do some damage here, because he's already established 2 things. 1, that they can run, and 2, that they can pass protect. And those are pretty important offensive things.
Yeah. On the touchdown pass, his protection was perfect. 2nd and 10.
It was on that last play, too.
Dunn is deep. Warwick Dunn picks his way for a couple of yards. That's all. It'll bring up 3rd and about 8.
The guy that's doing a good job is Jason Odom, the right tackle, because I thought on passing situations that would be the biggest thing that they'd have to do, would be Odom on Robert Porcher.
Third and 8. Four wide receivers this time, and Dilfer doesn't like the setup and takes the 2nd Buccaneer timeout to check with Tony Dungy. Roll, John Madden, Tampa Bay 10, Detroit nothing. 2nd quarter. Bucks have the ball at the Lion 18. 3rd and 8.
Now they got Frank Middleton is playing right guard, and Jerry Wunsch, who weighs 333 pounds, is playing right tackle. That's about 700-pound a guy on the right side of that Tampa Bay offensive line.
At least. Lions blitz, screen pass to Warwick Dunn, who can't go anywhere. Stephen Boyd saw the screen coming.
I was just saying how much confidence that Trent Dilfer was having, and how his pass protection was really doing a good job. I don't think you need a screen on that situation. I mean, you know, third and 7 or 8. I think the way Riddell Anthony's playing, I think, you know, you have Horace Copeland out there. I think, you know, Jackie Harris in there. I think they could have thrown the ball down the field.
42-yard field goal attempt coming up by Houston. Walsh is the holder, the backup quarterback. If it gets there, that's good. 13-0 as Houston hits. 13-0. Tampa Bay leads Detroit. Two-yard effort just got there. Good nevertheless, and it's 13-0. Anxious moment, but gratifying nevertheless. Next Saturday, don't forget, Minnesota, San Francisco. In San Francisco, our coverage begins 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific. And on Sunday, the winner of this game goes to Lambeau in Green Bay, where we'll be.
I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to all these playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about, you know, 12 teams get into playoff. Of those 12, only one of them is going to win their last game of the year, and that's going to be the team that wins the Super Bowl.
Melbourne. Again, he has room, steps out of a tackle and gets out to about the 34-yard line. And again, let's send you down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat, New England had Dan Marino's number this year. This interception by Todd Collins was the 3rd time this season that Marino had been picked off by the Patriots and had it returned for a score. The Patriots advance to play Pittsburgh next Saturday. Back upstairs to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
And it's 13-0. The Buccaneers leading the Lions.
Where are those guys? Are those guys downstairs, or are they across the field?
They're across the field.
Yeah, they're not on the field, though.
Safely in a tunnel over there somewhere.
Could they put them in a tunnel?
Yeah. Mitchell. Pass is caught by Morton.
You know, the two things that surprise me is one, that they haven't gotten to Herman Moore. And, you know, I think that that's something that they have to do. I mean, get the ball out there to Herman Moore. The other thing, at some point, you know, the passing, you've done that enough, and now at some point I think you just have to start feeding Barry Sanders and, you know, and ride that one a little while.
2nd and 5. Moore goes in motion. Mitchell gives to Barry Sanders. Sanders stopped by Nickerson, but he got enough for a Lion first down. Our Aflac trivia question: who is the only family to have 3 generations play in the AFL NFL? Which means before the merger.
Yeah. I mean, that means that you had a grandfather who played, then a father who played, and then the father's son who's playing now.
That's Vardell, and he gets nothing. Vardell, the up back in front of Sanders.
Vardell doesn't get much anyway in the running game. I mean, they give him about 3 or 4 carries a game. Sometimes you wonder why. I mean, you wonder when you have Barry Sanders back there and you need a runner, why you'd give it to anyone else anyway.
It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
You know, Scott Mitchell was saying yesterday, he said, you think it's hard to tackle Barry Sanders? He said, try and hand off to him. Somehow you got to chase him.
Here's Mitchell back to throw. And wheels it out to Sanders. Sanders steps out of bounds after he picked up about 6.
Now, the one thing that the Buccaneers all talked about is containing Barry Sanders, and let's just watch how they've done it. I mean, this is it. I mean, you got to get a whole bunch of jerseys on him. Keep your gaps, not give him any lanes, and every place he looks, you can see there's a Buccaneer there. Just watch, here he is, and watch the containment and how they just encircle him. And there's no place for him to go. That is perfect defense against Barry Sanders.
And that is what you have to do. 3rd and 4. Mitchell fakes to Sanders. And Scott Mitchell goes straight ahead. Close to a first down. With that last lean, he might have gotten it.
It's going to be where that official puts his foot.
Yep.
If it's the back guy's foot here, it's not going to be a first down. If it's his foot right here, that's not a first down. And it is his foot, and it's not a first down.
The word on Carl Williams of the Buccaneers is it's bruised ribs, and he's out for the game. So that's a big loss for Tampa Bay.
I wonder if he bruised his ribs on that punt that he fumbled that Detroit almost had. Here's a big play. This is a quarterback sneak down.
Morton goes in motion. Well, what happened to the quarterback sneak?
Oh, they didn't need that. Whew. Where in the heck that call came from, I have no idea. I mean, they had 4th and inches.
Yeah.
All they needed was Scott Mitchell's 6'6". All he has to do is flop forward. Just hand the ball to someone. I mean, there's nothing, and they come out here. I just can't believe this. And they come out here in a sprint out, and they're just trying to hit something out here quick. Good coverage by the Buccaneers. He was trying to get the ball to Herman Moore. You see, Porter just has good coverage on him. I mean, you get a linebacker on Herman Moore. That's probably what they were trying to get, but
well, they got that.
I know, but when you have 4th and inches, you don't need a sprint out by Scott Mitchell.
1st and 10.
Pounded in there.
1st and 10, Tampa Bay at their own 45. Here is Dilfer, and he is sacked. This time, Wells, I believe, was the first man there. Antonio London made the sack. Who is the only family to have 3 generations play in the AFL, NFL? Unfortunately, that's the 3rd in the line of the answer to our Aflac trivia question. Jim Pine, who is down on the play. Yes. George Pine III played with the Boston Patriots in the AFL. And George Pine II played with the Providence Steamroller back in 1931 and 32.
And there's you see Jim Pine right there. Legs got caught underneath him. He's just coming back from an injury. He'd missed a couple games. Ooh.
Wow. You're not supposed to bend that way.
I know Jim Pine, and I know George Pine II, and I know George Pine the 3rd or 4th.
You know all the Pines.
Well, yeah. One of them, George Pine, went to school with my son Joe.
13-0. Our Aflac trivia question. He was one of the answers.
And he was doing a good job because we said how they had to control Luther Ellis and Mike Wells inside, and the Buccaneer offensive line has been doing a pretty good job of it.
Dilfer on 2nd and long gets it to Warwick Dunn. He gets back to about the original line of scrimmage.
And now you see number 64 is George Diaz. George Diaz is normally the starting right guard. He also has been injured, so they put Frank Middleton at right guard. Diaz didn't start today, and when Jim Pine got hurt, they moved George Diaz over there to left guard. So now they're playing Gruber, Diaz, Mayberry, and then Middleton and Odom.
And they're about out of offensive linemen now. Here's Dilfer back to throw. Has time. Incomplete. Oh, it's complete. Anthony somehow came out of the pack with the ball. Wow, how about that?
And Trent Dilfer bought some time on that one. He had some pressure from the right, and he just stepped aside. He just went to the other side. Here you're going to see Riddell Anthony. He's just coming across the field. The ball bounces off him, and then bounces off a Detroit line, then bounces back to him again. Watch this. It bounces off him, bounces off Bailey, bounces back into Anthony.
And the Bucks get a first down.
What a play.
13-0. And there at the Detroit 26, and Warwick Dunn scoots for a first down to about the 15.
Yeah, I think that's a key word, scoots. I think that's exactly what Warwick Dunn did on that. He scooted. And he scooted to the right, then he cut back, then he scooted outside, then he scooted inside, then he scooted around him. This is a pretty good scoot. Here he is right here. You just see him seeing a 2-point stance. He just gets a lead block there again from Mike Alstott, and then he starts scooting. He scoots, and he stops, and he scoots, and he stops, and he scoots some more.
He is quick. That's done again. Down to about the 12, the fumble. And the Lions are indicating they have it. And they do.
They do.
The Lions recover. When you start scooting, you need to take the ball with you.
And you know, and he does a good job of that too. I mean, Warwick Dunn is not a fumbler. You just see, but he's a guy that just keeps going. He keeps those feet going. He's always making moves. He has the ball in his right hand and it just gets knocked out.
Yeah.
He just got it stripped, and that's probably the biggest thing in the NFL in the last 2 or 3 years is guys always going for that strip. But you always can't run with both hands on the ball too.
Especially if you're a guy like Warwick Dunn, who's always looking for that extra yard. That's Barry Sanders with the reception from Mitchell. Got a couple. And let's send you down now to Ron Pitts.
All right, Pat, the starting left guard for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jim Pine, just left the field in the cart. He's got a sprained right knee. Yeah, he will not return for the rest of the game. Back up to you, Pat.
Okay, Ron will not return. 2nd and 9 for Detroit. They have not been able to get anything going offensively. Mitchell back to throw again. Gets it to Morton. Out to the 15. And our group is here with us, the pregame, postgame, halftime people. They're rehearsing for halftime, getting ready. Ronnie's watching the game again. And that's a good idea.
Howie's figuring out where his glasses are and his nose, because you always have to know where your parts are. And he was just checking that the glasses were over the eyes and the nose was still in the middle of the face. Because when you're an old lineman, you know, sometimes that nose starts in the middle of your face and gets knocked over by your ear.
I think Howie'd like to be called a former lineman.
Nah, he's an old lineman. But see, Ronnie's he's the guy that's watching. He got the hat out there. He knows you always watch ball until it's over.
That's a good idea to watch the game. 3rd and 4. They have not converted on 3rd down as yet. Mitchell, Chase, just throws it away.
Yeah, that's the one thing about rushing Scott Mitchell. If you can break someone or make him think that you do, he'll take his eyes off his receivers and he'll look at the rush. And you're going to see it. He'll start here, and that's one thing that a quarterback can't do. But watch, you see, as you break a guy free right there, you see him put his head down there, and once he does that, there's no way he's going to complete the pass after that.
Culpepper and Sapp both broke loose.
Right, and if you can break 2 loose, then you know he's going to get all eyes on those 2. But then he takes them off the receiver, then he's not going to throw downfield.
Jet back to punt it, gets it out of there. Fair catch signal by Warwick Dunn. Williams had been their punt return specialist. He bruised his ribs and he won't be back. So Dunn's taking over those duties.
I was just going to say this Lion offense has really been anemic. They haven't established anything, you know, and I think they were trying to establish Barry Sanders by not establishing him. But you think if you're not going to establish Barry Sanders, then maybe you would establish Herman Moore. But when you don't go to Herman Moore or really establish Barry Sanders, then you're going to go in at half, and Bobby Ross is going to go and say, hey, we played a half here, and we didn't do anything.
Nothing.
Offensive, nothing.
Didn't convert on 3rd down. Didn't establish Sanders, as you say. Here's Dilfer. Pulled it down. He looked at Jackie Harris. Luther Ellis.
Here's Luther Ellis right here, and the thing that he does is he just keeps going. He's working against Middleton. He gets a double team. He spins off, and he just keeps going. And that's what you have to do as a runner or a defensive player, and you have to keep going.
Dilfer again. Rob Thomas makes the reception. First down, Buccaneers, as they cross into Detroit territory. 12 seconds remaining, and they use their last timeout. Luther Ellis limping back to the Detroit defense.
Looked like he got a cramp. One of those things you talk about, keep working and working, and when you walk like that, that's a cramp walk. I know that walk.
John, you know, we look at the field, and it's in pretty good shape. But it rained here for 3 days, the days we've been here, like I've never seen it rain. In fact, they've had already twice as much rain as normal in this month, maybe more than that.
You know, and if you watch it, Luther Ellis there, that really wasn't a cramp that he was walking. Oh. That was a right knee. He was hit right on the right knee. And you wonder how long they can keep this up. And it's not, you know, controlling Barry Sanders or stopping Barry Sanders. You're not going to, but you have to do it, you know, when you say you're going to do those things, you have to do it for 4 quarters. And, you know, and they've done it in the first quarter, they've done it in the second quarter.
First and 10, 12 seconds left in the first half. 13-0, Tampa Bay leading. Here's Dilfer back to throw again. Has some protection. Throws it outside to Jackie Harris, who gets out of bounds, stops the clock with 5 seconds left.
You know, remember last week what Barry Sanders did against the Jets? First quarter, he had 7 yards. Second quarter, he had 13 yards. 50 in the third quarter, but even that 50 he got on the last play in the third quarter. Then 114 in the fourth quarter.
He looks so innocent.
Well, it's a thing that he has a lot of patience. I mean, he has a certain quality about him that, you know, every player respects Barry Sanders. Every player in this league. And they all say he plays with dignity.
5 seconds. Dilfer with the hope, and it's picked off by the Lions, and that'll end the first half. Rice came down with the interception. That's the end of the first half with the score, Tampa Bay 13, Detroit nothing. This NFC wildcard game will continue with the Dockers Khakis halftime report after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
Halftime, brought to you by Dockers Khakis, the preferred khakis inside the red zone. Hey, nice pants.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has held Barry Sanders to just 15 first half yards, and the Bucs 13-0 over the Lions at the half. And back here at Houlihan Stadium with the full house indeed. And I talked about the Bucs defense. You guys focused on that a lot. Ronnie, they did the job in the first half, put pressure on Scott Mitchell, and it paid dividends.
Yes, it did pay dividends, JB. And what you have to do is you got to put pressure on Scott Mitchell. You'll see right here, they're coming after him. Hardy Nickerson is coming right up the middle. Scott Mitchell is not ready. He throws the ball. You cannot turn the ball over. Anthony Parker comes up with the interception, and that's one of the things that I said going into this game. You cannot turn the ball over, especially when you're on the road. You got to protect it, and Howie, you know that's a momentum changer when you get the interception.
Yeah, and the thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers done effectively is they are diverse in their offense. 17 rushes versus 6-7 rushes for the Detroit Lions. Here, a play fake to Allstott out in the flat, picks up the first down here. Big first down. This is the type of play right here. This is vintage Allstott. Pound the ball, missed tackle. He's a big, burly fullback, likes to run the ball. I say he's got rocks in his head, and I mean that in the best possible way. He's a tough son of a gun. This is a guy that can change and open up your passing game.
Here's a guy that's really done well first half. Trent Dilfer, injured right ankle. Ronnie, not sure if he's throwing the ball right. Not sure if he could set up last week, scramble to the left, but he could cut back inside with his left foot. Look at this, scrambling to the right on on the run, guns it down to Carl Williams. That led to a drop touchdown pass by Harris, a field goal by Husted. But in this first half, it's a battle of young quarterbacks in playoff games, and Dilford with 125 yards, Mitchell with 33. Barry Sanders, don't forget, at the end of the third quarter last week, 23 yards rushing, and exploded for 161 yards after that.
Why did you smile when Howie said rocks in his head?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little sensitive. He looked at me when he said it.
That's good. That's good.
All right, folks, when we come back, we'll talk about New England's mastery of Miami. They up into the Dolphins. We'll show you and tell you why when we come back.
Interception, Drew Bledsoe, Troy Brown, corner, great catch, both feet down. New England up by 7. Marino has this ball back, picked off. Who's there? Todd Collins, 40 yards later, another touchdown. New England up 14-0. 3 interceptions in the 2 games this year between the Dolphins, Marino, and New England. All 3 interceptions have been returned for touchdowns. There you have it, 17-3. Patriots over Miami.
So with that victory, the New England Patriots will move on to play next Saturday at Pittsburgh in the divisional playoff contest. And folks, after today's game, our own Eric Clemens caught up with Todd Collins after the game.
You have the Dolphins and Dan Marino's number. I mean, 3 meetings, 6 picks, 3 of them returned for touchdowns. What's the deal here?
Yeah, I don't think there's any magic thing. I think it's it's just guys that's busting their butt, and, you get good calls, and, the coaches put you in a position to make plays, and you still have to make them, and I think a lot of guys have made them. And today, it was incredible. There was a bunch of big plays in this, defensively, guys making, I think everybody about had a big play in the game defensively.
You stepped up and made one. An audible he's calling, you step out and flat and get the interception and score. Talk about that play.
Yeah, he just threw the ball and hit me in the hands, and, still have to catch it, and then it's the surprise of having to catch nobody in front of you and then hope you can just outrun everybody. I think I've slowed down quite a bit over the years, and I was just hoping to get there before everybody caught me. But, yeah, it was just he did audible and check off, and, it's just getting in the right place at the right time and then just, following through and making the plays.
Todd, congratulations. Yeah. Good luck to the Patriots next week in Pittsburgh. Todd Collins returned an interception for a touchdown. Now let's go back to Tampa and the guys. Guys?
All right, Eric, thank you very much. And that loss by Jimmy Johnson snapped a 6-game winning streak, that is, in the playoffs for Jimmy Johnson. Tampa Bay second half.
Second half, Tampa, don't change a thing. Tony Dungy coming into this game said, I'll play more zone. You play zone to stop the run. Why? All 11 defenders are looking into the backfield. They're looking at Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, though, could erupt second half.
Barry Sanders defies any defense that you put up. Give this guy an opportunity to compete. Your best player, get the ball in his hands.
Keep the woo hits. Keep the woo hits coming, Tampa Bay, because that's the only way you're going to win this football game. You got to stay after him defensively.
Yeah, you know what? Glenn Milburn, the special teams guy, having a big half. Second half, he could bust one. That seems to be the best thing so far the Lions have done.
All right, speaking of the second half, we will rejoin Pat Summerall and John Madden with the second half of this wild card game after this.
This first half highlight is brought to you by 1-800-COLLECT. Trent Dilfer. Pass looked incomplete. Looked complete. And it is complete.
Robert Bailey didn't even see that. It came off Riddell Anthony, hit Robert Bailey right in the face, bounced off his face, back into Riddell Anthony's hands.
First half statistics, all Tampa Bay. And they lead it 13-0.
Look at that. I mean, rushing yardage, the Lions only have 19 yards, 33 yards passing. But here's the big thing. I mean, they only had the ball for 9 minutes, 19 seconds. The Buccaneers had it for over 20 minutes. And that's a big thing. So you can say, why didn't Detroit do this? Why didn't they do that? Well, they didn't have the ball enough to really establish anything.
Their 3 big stars, or big producers, haven't really produced much, have they?
No, I mean, Scott Mitchell was terrible in that first half. At 33 yards, 1 interception. Barry Sanders only has 15 yards rushing. And Herman Moore, who was the leading receiver in the NFC and tied for the leading receiver in the whole NFL, had no catches. And then look what Tampa Bay did in their running game. They run right at him. I mean, they ran 13 times right up the middle for 63 yards.
And it's been Alstott and Warwick done. The Buccaneers will kick off to start the second half. Barry Sanders very quiet. Glenn Milburn back deep to receive and return to kickoff. Houston's kick is going to be brought from the goal line by Milburn. And he is cut down at about the 20. And let's again send you down to sideline and Ron Pitts.
All right, thank you very much, Pat. Talked to both coaches going off at halftime. Bobby Ross said, we have got to get our big play people involved in this game. He mentioned specifically Herman Moore. I asked him more carries for Barry Sanders in the second half. He said it again. We just got to get our big play people involved. On the other side of the ball, Tony Dungy, he said, I like the way the game's going, but we got to make sure we play great run defense and not have the stupid turnovers.
All right, Ron, thank you. And that's exactly what John Madden's been saying. The big play people haven't gotten involved. This is Barry Sanders. He gets a couple of yards. That Tampa Bay defense has done an excellent job in controlled pursuit.
You know, and watch Warren Sapp here. That's the guy that Bobby Ross says that he challenged his guards and said that's the guy we have to control. But it's hard to block down, have your tackle block down and run away from him, because unless that tackle cuts him, there's no way you're going to stop Warren Sapp from pursuing.
Buccaneers haven't lost when they led at the half. Here's Mitchell back to throw. Gets it outside to Sanders. Bad throw.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Mitchell's had a whole bunch of bad throws today. He looks like he's never got out of the pregame warm-up. I mean, he looks like he's never gotten in sync, and we've seen him over the years. We've seen him sometimes when he's real bad, and we've also seen Scott Mitchell when he can get real hot.
Right now, he needs to get real hot.
Look who covered Barry Sanders on that last play, Pat. It's Warren Sapp. He starts out there, and then he feels Barry Sanders coming out there, and he sees Scott Mitchell look and throw to him, and he's right down the line. They are really keying on Barry Sanders.
3rd and 10. Sanders is the deep back. Mitchell to throw it. Incomplete. And there is no penalty flag down. Morton was the intended receiver. Good defense played by the Bucs.
And again, Scott Mitchell is in there and throwing when he doesn't want to. Here's that timing pass. It's a little slant. Ball's in there. It's pretty good coverage, but maybe a little bump early by Floyd Young.
John Jett back to punt. Back deep is Warwick Dunn for Tampa Bay. The winner of this game goes to Lambeau to play Green Bay. Jets kicks a short one. Dunn's going to have to let it bounce, and it bounces out of bounds, and the Bucs will take over in pretty good shape. They lead 13-0.
Playoff is brought to you by Toyota. Every day belongs to you. Make it count. Toyota every day. By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By 1-800-COLLECT. It's the way we call collect today. And by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more.
Buccaneers first down. 1st and 10 at their own 46. They lead 13-0. Dunn. Well, this is Allstott, beg your pardon. And he bangs away into Detroit territory. All the Detroit players are wearing the number 59 on their helmet. Some of them have it on their armbands, their wristbands as well. Reggie Brown.
Yeah, you can see right here, there's Johnny Morton. He has 59 on his arm there. And as you said earlier, and Bobby Ross says, there's 2 things that they're doing for Reggie Brown. Is one, they want to obviously pray for him, and that's the most important thing. The second thing is play for him.
Warwick Dunn gets the Buccaneer first down. They run straight ahead. Reggie Brown, who was injured last week, perhaps the best athlete in the entire Detroit defense. And should he be watching? Right now, the result is not the way you'd like to see it go, but we send our best. And we too pray for it. Reggie Brown. 13-0. 1st and 10. Flag on the play as Warwick Dunn ducks under tacklers. Picked up perhaps a yard.
Yeah, you look at the officials here in today's game, Pat, and this is an all-star crew. All year, you know, they have regular crews work together. When they get into the playoffs, they have to earn the right to do a playoff.
Offsides on the defense, number 95, 5-yard penalty. First down, 5 yards.
Offsides on the defense. Today's officials.
Yeah, Mike Carey is a referee, and then, you know, the umpire and the head linesman. It goes on. This is a group that hasn't worked together before, and again, they're the ones that grade out the best, that get to do the wild card games and the playoff games and the championship game. Now, it is possible that someone from this group could also be in the Super Bowl.
1st and 5. Dilfer. Incomplete. Intended for Anthony. Kevin Abrams cut in front.
He really did. Kevin Abrams, he's a rookie, and he hasn't been starting all year, but he's a gutsy guy.
Yep.
And he's back here like he's playing off. And watch, he's gonna jump this thing because he's looking in and he's watching Dilfer. And when he sees Dilfer set up, he gets a jump on that ball. Now, if that ball hadn't been tipped, I don't know that Kevin Abrams doesn't intercept this ball.
And if he intercepts and it was tipped.
See, because he was watching all the way. He was watching Dilfer all the way. He was going to jump that thing.
2nd and 5. Dilfer trying to get everybody set. The clock's running down to 4 seconds. And Dilfer gets the ball up to Horace Copeland, and that should be enough for a Buck first down. It's very close.
It was a heck of a play by Trent Dilfer to get that snap off, because he was trying to get Warwick Dunn lined up out here, and Warwick Dunn never did get set. And he was telling him something, you know, out here as a wide receiver, and he finally got him settled down, and then he went the other way. But here's Warwick Dunn out here. You see, he's looking, he's talking to him, he's telling him where to go. Dunn's going back and forth, so Dilfer has to do all that before he does this, and he doesn't even look at Warwick Dunn on the pass play.
They do get a first down at the Detroit 31. 1st and 10. The Bucks lead it 13-0. Dilfer's going to throw it on first down and going deep for a bunch. Incomplete. Intended for Anthony. Covered by Abrams.
Well, that's a rookie against a rookie. Riddell Anthony, a #1 draft choice. Kevin Abrams, a #2 draft choice. The Detroit Lions. He's out of Syracuse. He's playing off. And now you see it was a little stop and go. He did a little hook and go. Abrams started to go for that hook, but then he reacted quickly to the go.
Good recovery.
And they both ran into the bunting. And it's nice to see bunting here at a game. I mean, this is what we didn't have for years in the National Football League. We have to celebrate our playoffs.
And we're in the playoffs with the Buccaneers leading 13-0. And the handoff is to Allstott, and he's got another Tampa Bay first down. He's got a touchdown. Mike Allstott shedding tacklers. Puts the Buccaneers further ahead.
They pounded on him, and they pounded at him, and they pounded at him, and they finally broke him down. But just again, we see Hape in there with the lead, and Allstott just runs right through everything. These runners, Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott, they're a great 1-2 punch.
And as you said, they just wore him down. Houston for the extra point. Walsh holding. Tampa Bay 20. Detroit nothing.
He gets a late block there by Dave Moore. Good blocking by his line, and he just runs like a runaway freight train.
Buccaneers set to kick off. They lead 20-0. It's Kenny Gant. Remember him when his days with the Cowboys, the Shark on special teams.
The old Shark, and he always does that. He goes way back into the end zone and starts to fire up the whole crowd before he finally starts down in the kickoff coverage.
Milburn about a yard deep in the end zone. Bucks stop him shy of the 20 at about the 18. Belisari down to make the stop.
Yeah, let's watch the blocking on a touchdown. Here's Frank Middleton. He's going to get a good block here. But watch Dave Moore. He's the tight end. See, he lines up here. He's in the backfield, and he's going to come and make a heck of a lead block right there for Mike Allstott. Watch the first one. Middleton, he gets that. Now watch Moore right there. You see that block right there? That's the one that springs Mike Allstott. Good start by Middleton. Good finish by Moore. A pretty good run by Allstott, too.
By the time
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
By the time he gathered a head of steam and got to the safety men, they had no chance. Herman Moore from Mitchell. Moore's first catch. There's the bunting.
Well, that's what we needed for a long time. What the heck is that?
That's bunting.
How in the heck did that?
What are you running for?
I don't know. Up jumped ugly. Who spread that? Okay, that's enough of that. Get off that. I have no idea where that came, but I've always said that we ought to have bunting at our openings, and we ought to have bunting in our playoffs.
Madden bunting. Blitz coming. Sanders coming. And Barry Sanders steps away from a couple of tacklers, his best run of the day.
Yeah, did you see that block by Herman Moore? Anytime you get a good run by a running back, you're going to get a good block by a wide receiver. And Herman Moore is one of the best blocking wide receivers in the running game that there is in the league. I mean, he catches his 104 passes, but he also, when Barry Sanders runs, Herman Moore is a blocker.
And the Lions at midfield at 45, beg your pardon, not quite to midfield, but they will be soon. Sanders runs out of bounds at about the 44-yard line of Tampa Bay. You can't relax.
It's just a matter of time. You just wonder if they have enough time being down 20-0.
Lions have a player down. I believe that's Sloan. 20-0. That's Robert Porcher having the cleats changed.
You know, this is a heavy field, and I think that Porcher and the other rushers are having a little trouble with their footing, so they're going to a longer cleat.
Mitchell fakes to Sanders. He's chased and throws it away. Metzelaars was the nearest Lion.
Reagan Upshaw got up the field on Mitchell that time, and he was watching Upshaw, and that's why he threw that thing away. But look at Barry Sanders here. His first 7 rushes, 15 yards. Then the last 2, 26 yards. You know, one of the ways to stop Barry Sanders, too, is to get so far ahead that the Lions just go away from the run. I mean, over the years, that's a way to do it, where running doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense anymore.
A Tampa Bay timeout. They lead 20-0. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. It was 1960 when the Goodyear Blimps first began to cover live sports. Right here in Florida at the Orange Bowl. Good view today.
Did you see that view? They saw, you know, the stadium here they're playing, and then right next door is the new stadium they're building where they're going to play next year.
Mitchell gives to Sanders. Sanders picks up a couple.
You know, one thing the Lions have done is they've gone to 3 wide receivers, and they've gotten the Buccaneers to play a nickel defense.
Here's
that. Yeah, here it is right here. That's a new one, and it's you can see that it's right next door. Here's the one we're playing today. Here's the one they'll play next year. And that's going to be a beautiful place. I mean,
they've gotten it up in a hurry.
Yeah, they got all their height on it already.
3rd and 5. Mitchell with Sanders deep. Boyd in motion. Mitchell is going to take off with it, and he's got some room to run. Scott Mitchell slides at the 25 and slides down to about the 24.
I was saying on the play before that it looks like what Detroit's trying to do now is spread out this Buccaneer defense and maybe get them into playing a nickel defense the whole game, and then maybe that'll be a little easier for Barry Sanders to run too, because by going 3 wide receivers as they're doing here, that means that Tampa Bay is going 5 defensive backs, so they have 1 less linebacker in there.
On first down, the blitz coming, and Mitchell fires in time for Johnny Morton. Good throw. Buccaneers blitzing from his blind side. This game summary brought to you by Budweiser. Total yards, Detroit 108, Tampa Bay 246. The time of possession heavily weighed in Tampa Bay's direction, 23-32 to 12-50. The winner plays at Green Bay next Sunday. 1st and 10, Detroit at the Tampa Bay 15. Mitchell to David Sloan, and Sloan gets to the 5. It'll be 1st and goal from there.
Looked like Sloan had hurt his shoulder. Remember, he was down there for a while. We saw him blocking, and then he just bent over, and then he went out for a play or two. And he came back in, and you watch Scott Mitchell here. He's looking for Sloan all the way. Sloan just steps in front and picks that thing right out of the air.
2nd and 1. Sanders deep. Sanders caught behind the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, this Buccaneer defense has done a heck of a job on Barry Sanders. I mean, they know. I'm not saying they're going to be perfect in all areas, but watch these guys all surround Barry Sanders and not give him a place to go that way, a place to cut back this way, or a place to go to right, left, middle, anywhere.
They got him surrounded.
There's no place for him to go. And then a rule, if you go down, don't stay down. Watch how they go down, and they all bounce up. The only guy that didn't was old Culpepper. He stayed down, didn't he?
3rd and 4. Mitchell rolls, and he's got some room to run if he decides. Out of bounds.
Ooh, he didn't
I don't know.
He didn't go for the 1st down on that, and the marker is right there. I think in a situation like this, you have to go all out on every situation. Here it is, Herman Moore. He's trying to hit Herman Moore. It looked like he could have led him to the corner. Now he starts to run, and it's too late. I don't know that he couldn't have cut that thing back and got a few more yards.
As it is, they have about 3 yards for 1st down. The Lions, trailing Tampa Bay 20-0, have 4th down approaching.
You know, years ago, Pat, I learned that the toughest points that you get are always the first ones, and I always believe that you get something and then you build off that. I think it's 4th and 3. I know they're down 20-0. I think this is a situation where Detroit should kick a field goal.
11th play of the drive upcoming. Mitchell is still on his feet, comes out of there, fires incomplete. He did an amazing job to come out of the trap and get rid of it, but they come away with nothing.
And that's the thing, you know, everyone thinks you go for it on 4th down like you're going to make it all the time, but if you don't make it, as you say, you come away with nothing, and you still haven't broken the glass. You haven't got any points on the board. You still got that shutout, and somewhere you have to break that shutout down first.
Herman Moore had no chance.
Scott Mitchell had no chance. The coverage downfield was excellent. They have 2 receivers in the same area. That's easy to cover. And then at the end, they had 3 receivers in the same area.
So the Bucks take over. 1st and 10, leading 20-0. Dilfer going deep, and he's got a man open and just misses him. Rob Thomas had 2 or 3 steps.
And he should have just run right through that one.
Right now, let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat, it was a very efficient day for Drew Bledsoe of New England. Take a look as he hooks up with Troy Brown, his only touchdown toss of the day. But again, he made no big mistakes, and New England, the benefactor, New England goes on to play Pittsburgh next week. Back upstairs to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Brad Culpepper over on the sideline in obvious discomfort. 2nd and 10. Dilfer went for a bundle on 1st down. This time he gives to Allstott, and Allstott is hit right at the line of scrimmage, and surges ahead for a couple of yards. That's all.
You know, Tony Dungy on the sideline has his son James holding the court. You know, that's a big position now, and there's James right there, and he walks around by his dad. James is going to be 11 years old this next week, but Tony says that for this game, you know, he's pulling out all stops. He said James's record, James isn't even going to look up. He's not going to show us what to look at. He's not even watching his dad. But hhis record this year is 2-0. So Tony said today, but yeah, James is 2-0. So Tony says, I'm pulling out all stops. We got to win this one. James got the job.
Delfer gives to Dunn this time, and the Bucks will have to punt. James is, if he rises to the occasion, he won't see it.
Well, yeah, I don't know if Tony's dragging James or if James is leading his dad. But James isn't going to watch it. I think that he thinks that if he watches it, maybe something bad will happen.
Landetta. Milburn will retain the kick. The coverage is great. The ball's loose. The Lions pick it up. And down they go. Ryan Stewart picked the ball up. Got back to about the 38-yard line. That was almost real disaster for Detroit.
You know, Milburn here he's waiting for a block, but it looked like he was trying to run a reverse is what he was. I don't know if that was a lateral or a reverse because he waited and waited like he was waiting for a block there. Then I think he was waiting for the reverse to come. And then the ball went out of there, and luckily they got it back. But now you look at this situation here. Had they kicked a field goal, they'd have the ball back now. There's still plenty of time, and it would be 20-3, but they'd have that 3 to build on instead of that big 0 sitting there.
Sanders, the ball carrier, and Barry Sanders gets out to 45. Warren Sapp made the stop. Don't forget, coming up in San Francisco on Saturday, Minnesota, after that stunning upset over the Giants, the win yesterday. That coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific, and then Sunday, the winner of this game against Green Bay at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, coverage begins at 11:30.
So you know, up in Green Bay, they're all watching this game and deciding who they're going to play, and then the coaches will go to work on them. One thing they know, they've played both these teams twice.
Mitchell just gets rid of the ball, throws it away. He was in the grasp of Culpepper. Wasn't hurt too bad before.
One thing about Culpepper, he's a scrapper. Both of these guys. Here's Brad Culpepper right here, and he's that cocked nose tackle. You see, he just starts to the outside. No one blocks him. They were sliding their line to the right away from Culpepper, and they didn't even block him. Culpepper just ran right by him. That's a combination, isn't it, of Brad Culpepper, nose tackle, who is also a lawyer.
And next to him is Warren Sapp,
who is a dominant player.
Really. There's Mitchell back to throw on 3rd down. Swings it outside, incomplete, intended for Sanders.
Warren Sapp is one of those guys that raised havoc, even when he's doubled. You know, he keeps going there. He lets Scott Mitchell know that he's there. Watch Warren Sapp here. They're going to double team him. You see, he starts and he gets a block there, and then they come over and they just whiffed on the double team. But he's letting Scott Mitchell know that when Scott Mitchell throws the ball, number 99 is going to be on him.
Back to punt is Jet. Warwick Dunn back deep. High snap. A fake. Beg your pardon. Jet had such a good fake, I didn't see it. And Rivers wound up with the ball and gets a Detroit 1st down.
Now, Ron Rivers was the fullback, and they snapped it short to the fullback. Watch, here's Rivers right here, and they just snapped the ball there. Now, he just takes off. You see, he gets a block right there, and they pack everyone to the inside. Rivers just takes it to the outside. There's no containment at all, and Rivers sees that he has a 1st down. That's not a bad play. I mean, they had to. You would think that Tampa Bay would really be looking out for that play, though.
What a fake by Jet. He jumped as if the ball went over his head and started chasing it. This is Sanders. He gets a few. Such a good fake. I didn't see it. Goes right to the fullback.
Yeah, you see now, here's Jet. He's going to fake it, but the ball's going here, and he's going to fake like the ball went over his head. But it just
that's what I saw.
Yeah, he jumped up, did a pirouette, and darn near fell down.
2nd and 7. Mitchell back to throw. Has a man, Herman Moore, wide open. Mitchell hit him with a Buccaneer looking right in his face.
This is the thing that Herman Moore is so good at. I mean, he's you know he can run patterns. He has great hands, but he's a big target in there. You know, and anytime they have a zone, he can just get in there and sit down. And your quarterback can look, and you can always find that big target in the middle.
1st and 10, Detroit. Handoff to Sanders from behind, and he's hit after he picked up about 3. Again, good pursuit.
And the other thing that Herman Moore is good at is in this area here. Once you get in the red zone, which is inside the 20-yard line, of just throwing that ball up in the end zone and let him do a jump ball.
2nd and 7. Line of scrimmage about the 17. Sanders again. And Sanders cut down. Good tackle. Derek Brooks.
This is great defense by the Buccaneers. They've had him surrounded all day, but I think they got a pretty good feel today. This is not a Barry Sanders running field. But look at this defense, how they just surround him, and they maintain their lanes. They stay. The thing that they said they wanted to do was always the first guy take a shot at his outside leg. Then if you miss, at least you funnel him back to the inside.
3rd and 6. Moore comes in motion. Mitchell back to throw. Mitchell's going to take off, and he won't get anywhere near the first down. Down to about the 15. It'll bring up 4th and about 4.
And I would say the same thing here. They have to kick a field goal. I mean, you got to break that 0. You have to break it. And I mean, had they done it, it would be 20-3. And then they kick another one, it's 20-6. But at least they're scoring points. Mitchell went head first on that one. We know that he had bad ribs. He didn't practice 2 weeks ago the whole week. This past week he practiced, and he said he felt pretty good, but it looks like they're checking that area again, Pat, where he had it was torn rib cartilage is what it was.
Frank Reich is the backup quarterback for Detroit.
Watch, he's going to get it right at the end. You see, he's running. He's not going to slide. Now, if he slides, he's protected. If he runs head first, they can hit him.
And Culpepper does.
Yep, Culpepper does, and that
Porter, I think,
looks
hit him
where
too.
he got it. But I mean, it looks like maybe that knee right there, Brad Culpepper, is where he got it. Like I said, it was the ribs had really been bothering him a couple weeks ago, and he said they felt pretty good this week. He didn't have a shot or anything.
Right,
thought he was back to normal.
20-0. 51 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20. Detroit Lions nothing.
And Detroit is going to kick the field goal here in this situation. They have Jason Hansen is in there now.
Scott Mitchell still down as Coach Bobby Ross looks on.
There's Jason Hansen. He has quite a stance. He goes through a ritual, and then he kind of arches his back in his stance before he approaches the ball.
One black shoe, one white shoe.
Yeah, but watch this deal. See, he'll go through it. You see how he gets and puts both feet out? I mean both hands out. That's the stance that he gets in. And then puts his back. What is that for? What do you think that? What do you think?
I have.
You used to be a kicker.
Yeah, but
did you ever get into that look?
No. I wore the same color shoes. Playoff picture: Minnesota beat the Giants. That's the NFC, of course. Detroit and Tampa Bay playing right now, and the winner goes to Green Bay. Starts at 11:30 next Sunday.
Yeah, congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings.
And the playoff picture in the AFC, all clear. New England, Pittsburgh, and Denver goes to Kansas City.
congratulations to New England and Denver winning their games.
Next Sunday, how far will a man go to get a job in today's world? Find out on a special preview of the outrageous new Fox comedy Ask Harriet. It all happens next Sunday at 8:30, 7:30 Central right here on Fox. Scott Mitchell still down. As you pointed out, he had bad ribs. The week before last, he didn't work at all.
And that was a week that they kept giving him shots. In fact, they gave a shot in that area of the rib cartilage. He went to a specialist at a hospital, a thoracic surgeon, and he said when they gave him the shot in the ribs, he passed out. Gonna feed him some orange juice and crackers, but he said this week he didn't have any shots in that area.
There's Pete Metzelaar looking on. He has already announced that this will be his last year as a player in the NFL. Some great years in Buffalo for Pete Metzelaar. Nothing. Tampa Bay leading. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 51 seconds left in the third quarter. Scott Mitchell is still down. And there's Bobby Ross out looking. This, hard to say when it happened or how it happened. He had bad ribs going in.
And we know that the quarterback is protected if he goes feet first. But when he goes head first, there's no protection. In other words, if he would have given up and gone feet first, then they can't touch him. It looked like he tried to get up.
Yeah.
Watch this, Pat. He starts like he's going to take that first step to get up. Then the umpire comes over there and starts waving that timeout. And then Scott Mitchell goes back down again.
Sitting on his foot and all of a sudden backwards. Again, it looked, as John Madden said, as if he started to get up, got halfway into a crouch, and then fell back and down. As Barry Sanders looks on. This has gotten to be something that the Detroit players have seen too often.
And the emotions that they've been through lately, just something that's been amazing. I mean, last week when Reggie Brown was injured and they were all out there in the field and they lived and prayed through that one. And
I think there are more prayers now for Scott Mitchell as the stretcher's being brought out. Again, he appeared to try to get up and go back to the huddle. And then went back down. $20 to nothing. To the left is the Tampa Bay doctor, the team doctor. And they're still looking down at Scott Mitchell. Bobby Ross has gone back to the sideline. Frank Reich, in the meantime, continues to loosen up.
You know what's going through these players' minds. If you've been there, you start off and it's a game, and and everyone's into the game, and and how big the game is, and then when a player is injured, no one wants to see that, and then you realize that that the game and playing and all those things are secondary. That right now it's how is Scott Mitchell is the most important thing on everyone's mind.
And for the Detroit players, there's been far too much of this. Sitting and standing and looking and waiting.
It's David Sloan there, the tight end, and of course Luther Ellis, number 94.
Perhaps you can see they've gotten Scott Mitchell on the board. And now it looks like when they get everything in order, they'll move him to the stretcher.
That's one thing that they do in the National Football League. I mean, they take every precaution, and they have everything that is needed for any injury that could possibly happen. And you can see that that everything that they're doing now is with caution and precaution.
And no haste.
No, you don't need haste. You don't have to hurry. You just do everything the right way. And that's the tough thing you can see for everyone is the unknown.
There's nothing to say. Again, that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doctor gesturing. Tony Dungy, who's done such an outstanding job with the Buccaneers.
Tony Dungy was saying that last week when Reggie Brown was injured that that he and his team did what everyone else did. You just pray that everything is okay.
The eyes tell the story. As soon as we know, you'll know. Robert Porcher.
It's Kevin Glover there, number 53, who has been with the Lions for 13 years, and he's been through a lot of these.
Yes, he has.
You think of the Mike Utley. Think of the
Reggie Brown,
Harry Cullen.
Yeah. Event you might have joined us during the time this happened. Scott Mitchell ran with the ball, didn't appear, to be a vicious hit of any kind. He got to his haunches and then fell back. Mitchell is 6'6". And his head stabilized.
And we had talked earlier about how he had rib injury. I thought maybe that it was in the area of the ribs again, but that doesn't look like it was a rib area.
No. We, of course, as soon as we know anything, we'll tell you. We can only pray. Jason Hansen has had a long time to arch his back and loosen up in preparation for this field goal attempt. 33 yards away is Hansen. His team trailing 20-0. And the Lions are on the scoreboard. 20-3. Tampa Bay leads.
I think that was the important thing for Detroit, you know, to get that 0 off the scoreboard, to finally get it and now go to work from there.
Again, next Saturday, Minnesota against San Francisco in San Francisco. The coverage begins 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific. And then on Sunday, either Detroit or Tampa Bay against Green Bay. Coverage begins at 11:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Pacific Time. That scoring drive by the Lions, 10 plays, 46 yards. They kept the ball 4 minutes and 19 seconds. A tough week for Bobby Ross and all the Lion organization. They have taken Scott Mitchell into the Tampa Bay locker room.
You know, and they also did page a doctor that is here attending the game to come down to the field.
So Hansen will kick off. Anthony is deep. He'll handle the kickoff at the 7. Riddell Anthony knocked out of bounds at the 35. And the Bucs will take over. 17 seconds left to play in the third quarter.
The other guy who's done a good job with this Tampa Bay team is Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, and just, you know, we talk about Tony Dungy being a calm guy. Mike Shula, of course, Don Shula's son, is also a calm guy, and one of the good things for Trent Dilfer. And one of the things that I'm impressed with what Mike Shula does is he takes each player and doesn't ask more of them than they can do, just does what they do best.
That's all set. Flag on the play as he picks up about 6 yards.
And I think that's going to be against Detroit, Pat. I think Trent Dilfer got him on that hard count.
I think you're right.
It was Luther Ellis again. I think, you know, he's up there ready to go all the time. Trent Dilfer's doing a good job of mixing up the count and then mixing up his cadence.
Offsides on the defense, number 95.
Mike Carey, the referee.
5 yards to go.
Wells was the Lion offside. Tampa Bay coaches upstairs, and we are a long way from the field.
Yeah, and this is Mike Shula that I was talking about right there. Oops, there he was.
Yeah.
The circle him, he was gone, but that was Mike Shula again, Don Shula's son, and you know, if he's related to Don Shula and has anything that Don Shula had in him, he's going to be a great coach, because Don Shula was one of the best that ever coached.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score Tampa Bay 20, Detroit 3. This NFC wild card game on Fox will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. 74,000 plus on hand. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead 20-3. And they have the ball. 1st and 5. Allstott hit behind the line of scrimmage, struggles to get back.
I think this offensive line has done a good job today. You know, it's not a great offensive line. They've had some injuries. They've had to bring Diaz in there. He's playing the left guard now. Middleton's been playing the right guard. They moved around, but the job that they did along with the tight ends and the lead blockers of making holes for Allstott and Dunn has been pretty good, and giving Trent Dilfer some time too. Oops. Up jump Diablo.
Luther Ellis pointing, and it's going to be up against the Buccaneers.
You know, remember when Big used to be like 280 pounds, 290 pounds? Now Frank Middleton.
Start on the offense, number 73.
Still big.
Penalty, 2nd down.
Yeah, but Frank Middleton's 340 pounds.
Let's quickly go down to Ron Pitts.
All right, Pat, thank you. Right now, you can see the ambulance behind me. They're here to take Scott Mitchell out of the stadium. They brought him into the Bucs locker room. In fact, they're just wheeling him out right now. Now, we can't say for sure exactly what it is. I've talked to some people that were in the locker room with him. A lot of restraint on the head and neck area. That could be the area where the problem is. We don't want to say for sure, though. But as you can see, he is on his way out of the stadium and heading into the ambulance. Pat, let's go back up to you.
All right, Ron. The Detroit official has told us that Scott Mitchell has a concussion. This is Allstott. And Allstott hammers out to about the 44. Mitchell, we're told, is very groggy, has a concussion. And as you just heard from Ron Pitts, they've just taken him out of the locker room to the ambulance.
You know, when you look at Mike Allstott there and you realize, you know, he's 6'1", 245 pounds, you would really think fullback. In fact, he made the Pro Bowl as a fullback, but he's really a running back. I mean, he really runs when he has the ball. He runs more like a tailback than a fullback.
3rd down. Dilfer back to throw. Wheels it outside, incomplete, intended for Anthony. Scott Mitchell's eyes are open and he's moving as he's being placed in the ambulance right now. And the Lions tell us that Mitchell suffered a concussion. Lynn Milburn back deep for Landetta's punt. Milburn, fair catch at the 18, and that's where Detroit will take over with Frank Reich at quarterback.
Come see what happens when a car company has more engineers and fewer accountants. Mazda. By Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. And by the Braun Flex Integral. Braun. Smart thinking.
Detroit ball, 1st and 10 at their own 17. Frank Reich at quarterback. Barry Sanders deep. Tampa Bay leading 20-3. By Morton. 1st down.
This seems to be working pretty well for Detroit is when they go to that 3 wide receivers.
Outside the stadium, of course, the ambulance just departed. Let's go again to Ron Pitts.
All right there, Pat. Yeah, Scott Mitchell just got into the ambulance. His eyes are open. He is conscious, and he was moving his hands, was moving his feet. So that's good news. That's all we have right now, and we'll update you when we know more. Back up to you, Pat.
1st and 10, Detroit. Sanders gets the carry. Chased backwards and dragged down by Derek Brooks.
That's the thing. The Lions can go 3 wide receivers, and that what that does, that brings in 5 defensive backs for the Buccaneers, and it takes out a linebacker. But the 2 linebackers that stay in there Brooks and Nickerson are pretty good. I mean, you know, they have good speed, and they can run as fast as any back. So you get a little plus there when you only have the 2 linebackers you see right here as compared to the 3. But those 2 run pretty well.
They can stay with most tight ends. Sanders. Hit hard by Lynch.
That's the one that Lynch was trying to get. John Lynch talked about that. He said he wanted to get a funnel shot on Barry Sanders, and a funnel shot is when they funnel him right into you. When you have a guy at the end on his right and on his left, right there, and you can come right up the middle. That is a perfect funnel shot.
And Sanders changed directions in a hurry.
And you don't see Barry Sanders get a lot of those.
Nope.
But watch John Lynch. I mean, he got it square and really unloaded on Barry Sanders.
3rd and 5.
You can play a whole career and not get one of those.
Not a square shot like that. Reich's back to throw it. Rush is good, but Morton comes up with a catch and gets cross midfield into Buccaneer territory, stopped by Mincy.
Frank Reich stood in there, and then you're going to see Johnny Morton again against a zone. You just find a hole in the zone, and he finds it right there. Frank Reich just stands up there and watches him, throws it right in the middle. Watch him stand up there and throw that ball. I mean, he stepped right into that thing. Johnny Morton did a nice job against the zone. You don't run away from a zone. You find holes in zones. You run away from man coverage and in a hole of a zone.
1st and 10 at the Tampa Bay 45. Again, right to Sanders. Sanders out of bounds inside the 30. Frank Reich, if you remember back to when he led Buffalo to the biggest comeback in NFL history. Buffalo was down by 32 to Houston, and they won the game behind Frank Reich.
Yeah, Frank Reich has played in some big games.
Yeah.
And he's been around long enough and played in enough systems to know how to run a football team in a 4th quarter playoff situation.
Back to throw again. Has a man open. Johnny Morton chased by the Buccaneer defense, out of bounds. Clock will continue to run.
Yeah, I still wonder why they're not getting the ball to Herman Moore. I mean, you know, part of it is Johnny Morton is a good receiver, and you see him up here on top. He just runs a little hook, and they're playing way off him in his zone, so that's a place to go. But you wonder if Herman Moore is really bothered by that foot injury and not getting open, or if for some reason they're just not looking to Herman Moore.
Well, I think the Buccaneers are doubling Herman Moore. 20-3. Less than 10 left now. Sanders gets the carry. Sanders down to about the 16-yard line. Kevin Glover.
Mike Compton there. Look at that cast that he has on that. He has a broken right hand. Playing with a cast on that right hand. You know one thing, if he holds, it has to be his left. It has to be a one-handed hold, and it has to be with his left hand. He cannot hold with that right hand. Listen to this crowd now. They want their defense. This is a heck of a crowd, isn't it?
Oh, boy.
Now we've got a night game going and a crowd, and Tampa Bay very close to going on to the next run.
Here's Wright back to throw it. Moore makes the catch and gets to the 1, maybe the 2. Lynch came up to make the hit.
You're just wondering when they were going to get the ball to Herman Moore. It seems like they've kind of ignored him most of the game. And again, you see he's out here and Rufus Porter out there, and they're just playing zone, so he just has to run against zone. He works against linebackers. You get on one side, that's that old Jerry Rice pattern where you just run against linebackers. You run that crossing pattern, and you go on either side of them or run away from them.
1st and goal at the 1. Vidal. Lions signaling touchdown, but no official yet has signaled it. Yes, touchdown Lions. Vardell.
And what they do is that's when they put in two fullbacks. Corey Schlesinger goes in as a fullback. Then they take Tommy Vardell, the fullback, and they make him the tailback. They take Barry Sanders out in this situation. Schlesinger lays. Here comes Tommy Vardell. Touchdown, Tommy. Just trying to go. The ball has to cross the plane of the end zone, of the goal line, and it did.
Vardell just kept digging and got it into the end zone.
We've been watching Mike Alstott dig all day, and that time it was Tommy Vardell digging.
For the extra point. That would make it 20-10. 9 plays, 82 yards they went. The extra point sails through. He hooked it left, but it was still good. Bobby Ross, his team down by 10. Our thanks to Captain Thomas and the entire crew of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes for the many spectacular shots that we've had in today's broadcast. And there have been some spectacular shots.
There's one of the field right there, and you can look and see that the middle of the field is really newly sodded.
Yeah.
That was a brand new field last week. And I think it's held up well, but I also think it's a heavy field. This is not.
You can see all the divots.
Right. This is not what you'd call a fast track.
Hanson to kick it off. Anthony is going to bring it out of the end zone. Flags all over the place flying as Rydell Anthony still on his feet. Still running as Anthony outside the 30, about the 33. Good return, but penalty markers down.
Yeah, I bet that's going to be for naught. And we talked about the officiating crew, an all-star crew, not a crew that normally works together.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 25. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Melvin Johnson called for the illegal block.
There's it right there.
Bay backed up to their own 4-yard line. Warwick Dunn deep. Alstott in front of him, and Dilfer gives to Warwick Dunn. Gets a little bit of room out to about the 8 or 9. Frank Reich is now the Detroit quarterback when they get the ball back. Scott Mitchell, a concussion. There's Reich, who led Maryland under Bobby Ross to the biggest comeback in college football history. 32-point deficit against Miami of Florida. Final score was Maryland 42, Miami 40. So the deficit in both those big comebacks was 32 points.
I'll tell you, and he started off pretty well in this
he
game.
did.
He's thrown 5 passes, and he completed all 5.
Second and 6. Done again. All right, now let's go down to James Brown for McDonald's game break.
Pat, many folks are asking, is this Dan Marino's last hurrah? Rough outing today against New England as he throws a pass tipped by Larry Wiggum, intercepted by Chris Slade, who returns it to the Miami 30. Only 1 touchdown in the last 3 games for the Dolphins. New England upends them and moves on to meet Pittsburgh next week. Back upstairs to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
The Lions have taken a timeout, so they only have 1 left. And as you remarked before, John, this is a heavy field. As much as it's rained, it's in good shape. But it's not a Barry Sanders track necessarily.
No, and you can see that because, you know, and you can see the players getting the mud out of their cleats. We could see the players changing cleats to get a longer cleat to dig in so they won't slip. So this is a slowed down field, and I think it is advantageous to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Buccaneers and the NFL is prohibited. 3rd and 5. Dilfer back to throw it. Does. Pass caught. That's Rob Thomas all the way to the Detroit 40.
I was going to say this is a big third down play for the Buccaneers. Dilfer got back. He had good protection. He found Rob Thomas, hit him for the first down, and then more and more and more. Watch him here. You see the good protection where he could step up. He just hits Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas just runs away from a couple of guys.
50-yard gain, Dilfer to Thomas.
Who would have thought you're playing against the zone, you have a third down, it's a big third down play, you're trying to get a first down, and you end up with a 50-yard reception.
You wind up at the Detroit 40. Allsup's the deep back. Sifting his way, picks up a yard, maybe.
I don't know. You see that Copeland blocking?
Yeah, Mark Carrier.
We talk about any time a running back is going to get a good long run, a wide receiver is going to make a good block. As Horace Copeland trying to do something. You know, that's one thing about this NFC Central, that they have good blocking wide receivers. Maybe that's why they had 4 teams in the playoffs.
Maybe so. Clock running now, just over 5 minutes left. 2nd and 9, 20-10. Tampa Bay leading Detroit. Dunn to the 37. Bryant Westbrook.
Warwick Dunn isn't going to stay with his lead. You know, they don't always have Allstott lead for him. Sometimes they have, you know, we saw Dave Moore do it on that play, and they have their tight end, and they get him and they move him around. Then he'll end up in a backfield position where he's like a fullback. So they don't have to beat up Allstott by making him lead. They also use their tight end, and he'll come in motion and then end up in a fullback position, and that's what happened that last time with Dave Moore.
3rd down. Dilfer has Moore behind him.
There's Dave Moore right there in the backfield. Yep, there's a clock.
Dilfer upset, obviously.
5 yards. It remains 3rd down.
As he heads over to the sideline. They used too much time off the clock. 4 minutes, 13 seconds left.
I don't think he should have taken a timeout.
I don't either.
I don't know that he took a timeout. In fact, I think they're telling him that was a penalty. It's not a timeout. Trent Dilfer came over like they took a timeout, but it was a 5-yard penalty for too much time.
4 minutes and 14 seconds on the game clock, please.
You're exactly right. They put, 6 seconds back on?
4:14.
4:14, yeah.
4, please.
He's not going to take 4-1-5.
No.
He won't take 4-1-8.
Thank you. 20-10 Tampa Bay. 4 minutes, 14 seconds left. 3rd and about 12 left for the Bucs at the Lion 42.5-yard line. They lead 20-10.
That was a big penalty. 3rd and 7 is a little easier than 3rd and 12.
See if the Lions blitz. They give the ball to Warwick Dunn, and Dunn gets to the 35. Doesn't get the first down.
Now do they kick a field goal from here at the 35-yard line? That would be a 52-yard field goal.
I don't think he could get it there. He just barely got 42 yards out of his leg today. Sean Landeta is on to punt.
Then you're punting a 35-yard punt. You better get it inside the 10, because if you don't, you're only going to pick up 15 yards by punting. This is where you need the old coffin corner kick, remember?
Yes. Landeta standing right at midfield.
Every old timer you ever talk to always says, why don't they kick him to coffin corner anymore?
Landeta kicks it, or hope to kick it straight up. And the Bucs get a good bounce, and they're going to down it at the 3.
That's why they don't kick it to coffin corner. You kick it straight up, let it drop, down it on the 3.
And the Lions, with their quarterback Frank Reich, have a long way to go, and 1 timeout left.
Fox NFC Wildcard Playoff is brought to you by the Honda Civic. Simplified.
Back at Tampa Bay, Detroit huddled in the end zone, came out to the 4-yard line. Frank Reich, the quarterback. Scott Mitchell suffered a concussion. Reich has replaced him and retreats into the end zone. Fires up the middle. Herman Moore made the catch.
Now Frank Reich not only has to direct this team all the way the length of the field, but also with some urgency, because having 3 minutes left, he needs 2 scores.
They only have 1 timeout left. The pass caught by Boyd. Less than 3 minutes following football coverage tonight. The world's funniest, except on the West Coast. That's on Fox tonight.
And this is how you get Barry Sanders out of the game. He only has 65 yards to get 10 points ahead.
Incomplete, dropped by Sloan. The Buccaneers, in the event you might have just joined us, led at one point 20-0 and had things completely under control. Scott Mitchell had the Lions on the move, and he suffered a concussion. Frank Reich replaced him. They kicked a field goal to make it 20-3, and then Reich took them down the field, completing 6 for 6 passes to get them to 20-10. They have 1 timeout left. They have the 2-minute warning left. Reich back to throw. The pressure takes him down. Ahanatu.
Chidi Ahanatu, he went right by Larry Tharp. He's been kind of quiet on that pass rush all day, but he just took an outside shoulder and went right by him.
3rd and long. 3rd and 14. They are 2 out of 12 on 3rd down. Reich back to throw it. The pass is complete to Boyd, but they don't get the first down. It's 4th down, and the clock continues to run.
I think with a 4th down, they ought to let it go to 2 minutes and go over and talk out, because you're only going to get 1 play here, and that's exactly what Frank Reich did. Go over, talk about it, get the perfect play.
4th down coming as we get the 2-minute warning. It's left. Tampa Bay 20, Detroit 10.
I think it could be 1 play left for Detroit.
Could be 4th and about 9 at their own 17.
Tampa Bay's playing awfully loose.
Reich back to throw it. Pass is caught by Johnny Morton.
Yep, you could see that one coming. You know, I think when you're protecting for a 1st down, you play a little tighter. The Buccaneer defense went into a prevent, but they didn't prevent the 1st down.
Reich hurries up. The pass is almost picked off by Lynch, who came over to knock it down.
John Lynch is a heck of a football player. He's played a heck of a game today, both on the run. We remember some of the tackles he made against Barry Sanders, and on the pass. He's like a linebacker when you run the ball, and he's like a defensive back when you throw the ball. He is a tough guy.
1:36 left to play as Detroit breaks the huddle. 2nd and 10 at their own 36. They trail by 10. They have 1 timeout left. Reich comes out of there, chased by Sapp and down by Sapp before he could get the 1st down yardage, but the clock continues to run.
The Lions still do have 1 timeout.
Not going to use it here.
If I were them, I'd try and get in position to get a field goal, kick the field goal, then go for an onside kick.
Saw it work yesterday. 3rd and 5. Reich. Sanders makes the catch. Less than a minute now. They still have 1 timeout left.
Yeah, he can throw the ball down now and stop the clock because he has a 1st down. He ought to do that. He's spending way too much time here. He should have thrown the ball down and stopped the clock.
And the clock's still running. Trying to get everybody set. He took a lot of time off the clock. Reich. Down the middle, incomplete. knocked away by Hardy Nickerson.
Now see if Wright can complete one of those passes and get it inside the 30, then they can take a shot at the field goal, then an onside kick, and then try and get you 7, because you need 10 points, so you need 2 scores, but it can be a 3 and a 7 as well as a 7 and a 3.
Clock is stopped with 31 seconds left. Today's game being produced by Bob Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. As the Lions 2nd and 10. The rush from Ahanotu, and again Wright goes down, and now Bobby Ross says take that timeout. That was Toyoka Jackson who came around the corner. Fresh legs. Here's the rush.
Here's Toyoka Jackson right here, and you're going to see he just gets on Tharp again, and he just runs right by Tharp. Tharp didn't get set up quickly enough, and Jackson just got right to the shoulder and ran right around him. They needed the big rush, and they got it there, and that forced the Lions to take their last time out. And there's Pete Metzlars and shaking his hand. This is his last game. Had a great career, 16 years.
25 seconds left on the clock. Replay producer today, Pete Macheska. Associate Director, Mike Roy. Broadcast Associates, Fran Morrison, Charles McDonald. Technical producers, Bob Muller. Studio was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior producers, Bill Brown. Executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And it looks like we're headed for a battle of the Bays next Sunday in Green Bay.
Yep, we did the game the last time they played there, Tampa Bay at Green Bay. The Packers beat them there.
They were 5-0 at that time. 3rd and 15. 25 seconds left. No timeouts left for Detroit. Pass complete to Sanders, and Sanders gets to about the 41-yard line. Clock continues to run. Tampa Bay hustling back. Detroit and Reichel just down at 8 seconds left.
No, he can't do that. It was 4th down.
4th down.
He couldn't do that. The game's over.
He did it. It was a mistake. The game's over.
On 1st down, when he could have done it, he didn't do it. And then when on 4th down, he threw the ball down.
So much for the big comebacks. Pete Metzlars, his last game. Barry Sanders. And perhaps this is the last game in this stadium. We showed you the new one being built adjacent.
Here the fireworks going off. There still is 8 seconds left. That was a 4th down, so automatic timeout, that change of possession.
Yeah.
So the Buccaneers are going to have to run another play.
All out on the field, the crowd out on the field, horses on the field.
Hey, you got to get your horses off.
Cheerleaders off the field.
Yeah, premature fireworks.
Tony Dungy.
How about his son James? He did it, huh? 3-0. James looked up for the first time all day, and lo and behold, he's 3-0, and the Buccaneers are going to playoff.
Tampa Bay's first playoff win since December of 1979. When they beat the Eagles 24-17. And now those fireworks are not premature.
What a job Tony Dungy has done, and his staff and this organization of bringing life and vitality back to this team and this city.
And this next play of the game brought to you by Energizer. And this was the one that put it out of range. Allstott.
This is football. I mean, good blocking, good running, just running right through stuff into the end zone. That's what it's all about. This is what gets you to the next level.
Final score here at Houlihan Stadium is Tampa Bay 20, Detroit 10. Coming up on the NASDAQ postgame report, we'll have highlights and interviews from Tampa. Also our Fox Sports ticker. We'll have up to the second postseason stats. That's all next on the NASDAQ postgame report.
Coming up tonight, prime time on Fox, it'll be The World's Funniest, followed by The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and then, of course, The X-Files, one of our favorites. All of that will be coming up after football everywhere except on the West Coast. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win their second playoff game ever in team history, a 20-10 victory over the Detroit Lions. And folks, Tony Dungy, what a remarkable story. A man who was passed over for many a head coaching job, was not the first choice here, but he has done it in grand fashion, and he's standing by with our Ron Pitts.
All right, first of all, Tony, congratulations. Your first playoff win as a head coach. How does it feel?
It feels great, Ron. We've come a long way. I'm so proud of these guys from 0-5 last year to the playoffs and a win. It's fantastic.
What was the difference today? You were able to keep Barry Sanders out of it, especially early.
Well, our defense did a great job hustling. They had heard about Barry all week, and we knew how tough it was going to be. Our offense did a great job in the first half controlling the ball.
Next week, going up to Green Bay, you've played them twice now. You've played them hard, but you haven't gotten the W. What do you got to do to beat those guys?
We've got to come up with a way to beat them. They're a great team, and playing up there is going to be tough, but our guys have a lot of emotion going right now, and we're going to go up there ready to win.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. And you got a son here who was very instrumental this year.
Yeah, James is 2-0 holding my court, so we might have to take him to Green Bay.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Good luck next week. Let me go to this guy here, quarterback Trent Dilfer. You guys got off to a great start. That seemed to be the difference for you today.
Defense, offensive line. Comes down to that. We were physical. We were more physical than the Lions today. We knew coming in this game, if we could out-physical the other team, meet their emotion, that we would beat this football team. Our defense stopped Barry Sanders and our offensive line and kicked butt up front, and that's what it was.
You heard Coach talk about what you have to do next week. Let me hear it from you. What do you got to do to get the win up in Green Bay next week?
You know, we got to find a way to beat them, and then winning up there is going to be tough. But I still think the one thing you can't defense against, the one thing you can never predict in this league is being physically tough. If we can go up there and match their physicality, their emotion, we can beat them.
That's right. All right. Good luck next week, guys.
Thank you.
All right, JB, let's go back to you.
All right, Ronnie, thank you very much. Well, certainly the Buccaneers will have an awful lot of confidence going into Green Bay next week. Terry, you talked about the start of the second half being significant for the Bucs.
What Tampa Bay did right off the bat was took Barry Sanders out of the game by scoring on the opening drive of the second half. Automatically down, they had to go to Mitchell. Unfortunately, was injured. As we speak, we do not know the state of his injury. But the fact that Tony Dungy, zone defenses, everybody looking at Barry. Barry had no place to run and had to go to a quarterback that had the big day, and that quarterback was Trent Dilfer.
Barry Sanders only 65 yards on the ground. That Tampa Bay defense, Ronnie talked about him being very quick, Howie.
Yeah, you know, the thing about this defense is, and Ronnie and I have looked at it, is these linebackers fly around. Brooks, and you look at Hardy Nickerson, they do an outstanding job, and they get after the running back. They all start. You can't talk about the balance of this team. That was the difference, I think, between the Detroit Lions and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is the balance. Run to pass. They had a balanced attack. Causes problems for defenses.
All right, folks, we heard a lot about this fast defense. We want to get the thoughts of a guy who certainly ought to know about him, Steve Mariucci, and also his game coming up next week, Minnesota at San Francisco. We'll talk with Mr. Mariucci after this. In San Francisco, December 7, 1997, William Floyd to the end zone, fired up for San Francisco. Randall Cunningham, his first start since 1995, a very solid outing, one of 2 touchdown passes to Chris Carter, but it was Steve Young, his best day of the season, 20 of 25 for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and San Francisco goes on to win it by the score of 28-17. And folks, next week it'll be Minnesota at San Francisco, a rematch of 3 weeks ago. And joining us to talk about that matchup is the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Steve Mariucci. And Steve, first of all, give us an update on Garrison Hurst. We know he's injured with a broken collarbone. What's the likelihood of him playing? Any shot at all?
He's going to have a CT scan tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we'll know more then. But it's only at 4 weeks right now since his injury, and they were talking about 5 to 6 weeks initially. So it may be a little bit early right now, but we'll know more tomorrow morning.
Coach, this is Ronnie Lott. I want to ask you about the smash mouth football, the Mariucci type football. Are you going to be able to establish that in the playoffs?
You know, we've been, I can hear that crowd in the background. you know, we relied on our running game a lot this year, probably more so than the Niners have in the past. But we felt we needed to do that and to keep Steve Young healthy and to become more balanced run and pass. And it was very good to us. We've had to open it up a little bit lately, especially in the Denver game and the Minnesota game, and rely more on Steve Young's arm. But we plan on being balanced in our game against Minnesota and see where that takes us.
Yeah, Coach, it's Howie Long. How are you?
Hi, Howie.
Now, you can't imagine how much home field advantage really means until you hear this crowd.
I can hear it.
Hey, you know, I tell you, no organization in football probably demands more of their coach and their players than the San Francisco 49ers. And the Tampa Bay game in the start of the year was a disastrous start with Jerry Rice going down and Steve Young. Then you rattle off all those wins consecutively, and everyone said, well, it's a soft schedule. And then we talked about the Kansas City game being a lightning rod for the season. You lost that game big. How did you keep the team focused and keep them to turn that thing around after the Kansas City game?
You know, we have a lot of veterans on this team, Howie, as you know, and guys with a lot of pride. And, you know, they felt that, you know, over the course of a long season, you're going to have a bump in the road every now and then. And as long as it didn't bother us emotionally or we didn't lose our confidence in any way, we rallied the very next week and put a couple of good wins together against Minnesota and the Denver Broncos, who have a very good team. So that's how it is in this. It's a marathon. It's a long season, and you're going to have a couple of weeks that are down a little bit. You just got to be able to rally through them and find a way to win the next one.
Hi, Coach Terry Bradshaw, coming from college to the pros, 16-game season now, playoffs. You got to sit back and you watch that Giant Viking game, and all of a sudden it looked like the Giants had it. Then here comes Minnesota. Your impressions of Randall Cunningham and how he's improved since the first time you met?
Well, the first time he played against us was his first start, and he hadn't played in a long, long time, and he played pretty well in that game, and now he's got a few starts under his belt, and he's going to even be better. The game against the Giants was a tough game to judge anybody by because the inclement weather, and there were some turnovers on both sides that impacted the game dramatically. Kind of a crazy game, as you know, but I've got to believe that Randall's confidence with those great receivers that he has, and with Robert Smith, it's getting better and better, and he's very dangerous. We all know that, and they've got a lot of offensive weapons.
Coach, no matter what, you have done a magnificent job this season, certainly much more so than I'm sure many people thought. Congratulations, and the best to you next week when you host the Minnesota Vikings.
Thank you very much, guys. Happy holidays.
And same to you, Coach. Okay. Well, Howie Long talked about home field advantage. These folks behind us have been cheering the entire game. We're going to talk about next week's matchup when Tampa Bay would love to take these fans to Green Bay after this.
They created their
matchups next week look like this on Saturday. It'll be New England taking on Pittsburgh at Three Rivers in the early game. Minnesota at San Francisco will come your way on Fox Saturday at 3:30. Then on Sunday, it'll be the rematch. Tampa Bay taking on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The late game, Denver at Kansas City. So those are the matchups coming your way next week as the NFL playoffs continue and move into the divisional playoff round. Well, folks, an update on Scott Mitchell. We'll be pleased to know that he did, in fact, walk into St. Joseph's Hospital here in Tampa under his own power, but in fact, he does have a concussion. If we get a late word, we'll certainly pass that along to you. All right, next week on Fox, Tampa Bay travels to Green Bay the last two times they met, Terry Bradshaw.
It was well, actually, last two times they met, exciting football games. The first game up in Green Bay, Tampa came in with a 5-0 record. That's Freeman right before the half for a touchdown. And then the game breaker was this Gabe Wilkins 77-yard interception return for a touchdown. 21-3 at half. Green Bay went on to win 21-16. And then in the second game here in Tampa, Dilford down after White sacked, injured his ankle. And then right before the halftime, Robert Brooks with a touchdown as the Packers went on to win 17-6. In both of these games, though, the one good thing about Tampa Bay's defense held the running game. Dorothy Levens of the Packers pretty much even, but it was far down here in Tampa Bay, putting up huge numbers.
Now, I know you guys really don't like a lot of crazy stats, but Tampa Bay has never won a game under 40 degrees. They go to Green Bay next week. Clearly, it's not going to be balmy there. What's going to have to happen for Tampa to be successful?
Well, that's the first thing this team has to do. This team has to get the weather out of their mind. I played on a West Coast team, and I can tell you firsthand, the minute we walked out of the locker room, I saw a lot of guys go into a shell. Regardless of how tough you talk all week, when the temperature hits 20 below up in Green Bay, it changes your perspective about hitting people. The big key up in Green Bay, last time out, 86 yards Tampa held Green Bay's offense to in the second half. Big key, Ronnie, turnovers. An ill-advised pass by Trent Dilfer, a fumble by Warwick Dunn. They can't make those kinds of mistakes. Hopefully Trent Dilfer has matured.
Yeah, he has to mature in this game. It's a big game next week, but I think the key for Trent Dilfer is he's got to get the ball to his tight end. He's got to get the ball to the wide receivers. He's going up against the secondary, the Green Bay Packers secondary, they're playing excellent football at this time. Look for that matchup to be the key in this game, is the secondary of the Green Bay Packers going up against Trent Dilfer.
You know, but Tampa Bay knows they can play with Green Bay, and this victory today, JB, boy, sends volumes of confidence. I mean, they'll go up there now believing that they can truly win.
I agree with you. This Green Bay team, though, has peaked at just the right times, just like last year.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers no longer on the NFL skid row. They have won in the postseason as they head up to Green Bay. And as you hear these fans, they are screaming loud, folks. We're going to talk about more here as we take a look at Trent Dilfer celebrating with the 74,000 plus here. Back with more in a moment.
You can afford it.
That's fine,
the blonde bomber. These fans are feeding off of him as well. TB, the rest of the playoffs, is it as simple as a team with most talent is going to win it?
You have to, obviously the talent is the key. Being ready to play, Green Bay will be ready to play Tampa. Very hard to go on the road and defeat the world champions. And Howie said it earlier, Green Bay is peaking. 49ers are peaking.
No, the 49ers are peaking. A lot of teams are going to be peaking right now, but it's a lot of talent. And talent usually rises to the top right at this time.
The last AFC team to win the Super Bowl played where?
Raiders right here, Tampa Bay.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
All right, folks. Prime time following this. It'll be, of course, the world's funniest, followed by The Simpsons. We'll see you next week. So long, folks.
When it comes to renting a car, we believe there's only one place to go.